Good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live, the award-winning poker show. My name's Michelle, aka the Night Nurse. I'm going to be hosting the show all night. We are going to be learning how to play the game of Texas Hold'em poker. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to watch it. We can see everybody's hold cards. These are the two cards that each player is given. It's their hand, and we can see them. We have the technology. So we're going to be watching live games on the net. Using this technology, we're going to learn how to play, and to help us, we have a poker expert in the house. That's James Browning.
Hi,
Hello again, James.
Good to see you, Mish.
Yeah, it's good to see you, actually.
I was on my way to Sweden last time I saw you.
Last time I saw you were, so how did it go?
Yeah, it was. I didn't do any good in the tournament. I wasn't fully happy with my play. I played in cash games, however, and that was quite good. In fact,
did you play tournaments as well? Or?
I did. I played one other tournament, yeah. And only one other. But the cash games, I played pot limit hold'em, and I'll tell you what, it was the games were quite tasty, and I would be tempted to go back there, maybe even just to play some cash games in Stockholm.
Ah, so you could be going back.
Possibly, not just the moment, but I'm on my way to Slovenia.
Oh, James is a jet setter. You may have cottoned on to this at some point over the last year, where he's always off somewhere playing poker,
I'm going down Sunday to Slovenia for a week.
Oh, excellent. Well, we'll have to see. We'll keep ourselves posted on James's jet-setting poker career. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about pot limit a bit later, because it is no limit Texas Hold'em here, pot limit and limit.
Actually, that's a good idea,
It's
yes.
a slightly different game, so we
touch on
will
that.
touch on that later. Now, throughout the night, if you have any questions or you don't understand anything that's been said, or if you disagree with something that's said, or if you'd like to make a point or a comment, you can get in touch with us, and please do, because we love hearing from you. Here's the way to text. Please text the word poker and then your question to 84222. Or you can indeed email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. We do have a website as well, which you can check out on the breaks. It's www.pokernightlive.co.uk, and there's a wonderful forum up there as well with plenty of information. If you want to discuss a particular subject within poker, then that's the place to do it, because those guys do know what they're talking about. Now, tonight we're going to be watching cash games, tournament games and multi-table tournaments. So, James, if you wouldn't mind showing us the tables we'll be having a look at.
Definitely. Let's have a little look. And we've got a $5 sit and go. And it's the first level, and we have an empty seat already, Mish.
Ah.
Who's got the chips? Oh, yes, down the bottom there. 1,800 he's got. And now, double the price. It's a $10 sit and go. Again, the starting level, 10.20. A full complement of players this time, however. Some of our faves on there. And there's a 50-cent $1. Cash. Real money. Dollars. Real cents. You get a basket to put them in when you win. And it's coloured green. It's multi-table tournament time. And this is a tournament which we will be revisiting throughout the night.
Ah, yes, we will. And at the very end of the night, no doubt, as usual, we'll be watching the final table as well. So it'll be very exciting. OK, well, where do you fancy starting tonight, James?
Why don't we have a look at that $10 tourney?
OK, fair enough. Let's head over to our sitting
I think all the players were there. Let's see if they still are.
Here we are. So this is a $10 sit and go tournament. We've got 10 players. First of all, let's have a little look at each one. We have Gaza Luis. I am a fish.
Oh, you're not.
Oh, am I?
No,
am
you're
I
not now. No, no, not now.
Not anymore, people. We've got Hoofy there. We've got Matt, Ace, King, Queen, Jack, 10. We've got Robo Squirrel. We've got Fishing for Chips. We've got Golf Mad Chef. And we've got Max Power.
Max Power.
180. Now, it's a $10 sit and go tournament. And we're going to be having a look at what mistakes people were making. And
what good plays they're making.
As well, or what good plays they're making.
Yeah.
All of our players have paid $10. And for that $10, they've been awarded 1,000 chips. And it's a due to the death competition, isn't it, James? So once all their chips have gone, they're out.
They are. There's no second chances. We sometimes show some multi-table tournaments where you have rebuys, where you can, if you lose your chips, you can rebuy, but not in a sit and go. Once that 1,000 is gone, you've gone. And let's have a look at this. We've got a 3-4-3 flop, which is rather nice for max power. How on earth can he be there with a 7-3? Well, quite simply, because he was on the blind. He was on the big blind.
Well, that's just what everyone was thinking as well.
Exactly. But when we play poker, we must always remember, have a look at those blinds. And if the blind was able to get in there cheaply, it possibly could be there with any 2 cards. If it had been a raised pot, raised to a reasonable size, we don't expect him. He's far less likely to have the 3. And for sure, he wouldn't have 7-3 off suit. But he'd be far less likely to have the 3. So that's one of the ways we pick up clues. We pick up information, we process the information in our minds, and then we decide our plays. And let's have a look at this. We've got a raise under the gun from Hoofy, normally a solid player. He's made it 120. Matt has called it with KJ, King Jack, and look at this, max power. Fresh from his trips with the 7-3, he's got trips again. He's got trip 2s.
Wow.
And he knows he's in front. He's re-raised. Oh, he's worried about the diamond. He's got every reason to. Oh, because Hoofy there has got the flush. He's got the ace, king, jack of diamonds, because the jack of diamonds from his hand makes a flush. There was a flush on the table.
Had the flush as well.
He had the flush as well, but what's more disappointing to him was he actually had the trip 2s. He was in great shape. And ping, a diamond came on the turn and he was cooked. But not fully cooked, because if the board had paired up, then he'd have made a house and he'd have beaten the flush. But the board didn't pair up in the river, and it's the end of Max.
It's the end of Max, he's gone.
He's had trips 2 hands in a row and now he's broke.
It's gone broke, so he's lost his $10 and now there's only 7 players left in the game.
It's a cruel game, isn't it? It can be a cruel, cruel game.
So the button moves to Hoof. So we can see those blinds at the moment on Matt and Rainbow Squirrel. So Fishing for Chips being the first to act.
And let's see. Oh, Hoofy doesn't want to play. And we've got Matt. I'm sure he's going to do something with his pair of 10s. And he's made it 180.
Robo will probably think he's trying to steal.
Look at that. Robo's come right over the top, but he's not stealing. He's got the 10s. He's got the proper hand. But look, there's a flush draw there again. Robo needs a club. Or he needs an ace or a jack.
Oh, he gets the jack!
Poor old Matt there. He almost got there. And look at this. He's now down to a peanut. 140 left. There it was. He was favourite. The flop came, which wasn't a good flop for him, because it gave Robo Squirrel any club to make him a flush. And it also gave him 3 jacks and 2 other aces. 2 other aces, because one of the aces is an ace of clubs, which would give him the flush anyway. So he had 14 outs.
Okay, but he's now all in with his 140, and unfortunately, that's it for him now, because Hoofy managed to hit the 6.
And another one bites the dust.
You've lost another one.
And we're down, we're on the 2nd level, and there's 2 players gone. You can tell it's not the Beat the Presenter table. We'd have been on level 6. We'd have been on level 6. No, there's been some train crash hands here, haven't there? So, you know.
Golf Mad Chef has a 7-8 offsuit.
That's
the hand of the Bannon.
Yes, it's the Mark Bannon special.
Okay, now here, look, Fishing for Chips has the ace, but it's a very raggy ace. Now, what's he thinking here?
He says, I'm going to find out where I am. The pot's 120, I'm going to bet 120, see where I am. And
now, why has I am a fish called with nothing?
Because he's got a flush draw. He hasn't got quite nothing. He's got a flush draw. I hope he doesn't fall in love with hitting a jack. He doesn't. Well done, I'm a fish for that. But he was on a draw hand. But the thing is, it's not generally very good to be on draw hands, especially heads up, because you're not getting good value when you win.
So are we not sure about that hand, James?
No, I think in the early stages of a tournament, you don't want to be playing draw hands. You're far better to be the one who's betting, because you've got the made hand and the draw hand. On a flush draw, he's 2-1 against to make his flush 2 cards to come. So does he really want to be risking his life on this? So
early stages of a tournament, heads up, don't be paying a lot of money on draw hands.
Not particularly, no. And if you are playing a draw hand,
you
want there to be a lot of people in the pot. So therefore, you get paid. So therefore, if you're going to take the risk of drawing for a flush, then you at least want to be rewarded for it. You want to be a big prize at the end of it. There's no point risking your life in getting paid a peanut.
Nothing.
You want to get showered in diamonds and jewels.
Yes, yes, I do actually, James.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. If you wear an outfit like this, you will be showered in diamonds and jewels.
Oh, do you think these are real?
You look stunning tonight, Mish.
Oh, thank you, James.
You look stunning. No, you do. It really shows off your hair, and I'm sure everyone loves it. I think you look great tonight. Oh, you've gone red.
Oh, you're so sweet. Back to the game. Oh, look at you. You're so sweet.
No, but you do. I really like this outfit.
Oh. And you look very dashing and dapper tonight.
Oh, you don't have to say that now. You don't have to. You don't feel obliged.
No, I did say 007 at the beginning of the night.
Oh, you did, yeah. Back to the game. Robo Squirrel got the ladies.
Very nice too.
And Robo Squirrel is lying in third place at the minute. We've got 3 guys with the chips. We've got Hoofy with 2,200. Fishing for Chips has got 1860 and Robo's got 1740.
Do the rags want to come along for the ride?
And
It's a lot of money for both of them. I'm not quite sure I'd be that happy putting my whole tournament life... Because if you think about it, actually, it's a good point here. If they do call this bet, especially Golfman Chef, you know, that's a third of his stack. So surely, if he's thinking about calling that stack,
he may as well
be
push it all
almost
in,
committing
so
himself
doesn't
with
get
the ace-8.
Yeah, so he doesn't get pushed off the hand when he's in fact winning, or when he's he's in fact winning.
So that is the right way to be thinking.
Yeah, and I think he can find a better place for his chips, because generally, it's better to be a better than a caller.
I got told off for saying that ace-10 is a raising hand rather than a calling hand.
Who on earth told you off for that? That's quite correct.
Is it? Just someone on the forum.
No, of course. Ace-10 is a far better raising hand than a calling hand. Much better. Because this is the gap principle. Basically, you need a better hand basically to be calling with than to be raising with. Only exception is if you know that somebody is in desperate trouble. And if you know that time is running out for them,
they'll be pushing in anyway.
and if you know that their blind's coming up, then they could be pushing in with anything. Now, you can actually lower your standards for your calling hands because you're bearing in mind the information that you've picked up from the table.
So
but in a general game, it's far better to be raising with ace-10 than calling with it. So what do you gain by raising with it? What might you gain?
Well, you might take the pot there and then.
That's it. Say no more.
But also, if you do happen to get called,
never
the
mind.
thing that you have been
Never
the
mind.
aggressor as well.
No, you've done it right and won. You might win it there and then. And that is fold equity, and that's fantastic. Then, next bit, if you don't take it then, and you miss the flop, but you've got position, then what might happen?
Well, because you've raised pre-flop, they're going to be putting you on high cards or a big pair.
Yes.
So if they check and then you bet, they might respect that.
Then you might
bet
take it
rule
again.
Because you might take it again.
So all of a sudden, that is why it's better to be raising with ace-10 than calling it. Because if you just call with it, and then you try to represent something, then say, well, it couldn't have been that good, otherwise you'd have raised me before the flop.
Yeah.
So I think you're mucking around. You're trying to steal this from me, and you're more likely to be called, so it's less effective. So whoever told you that, give them 100 lines and send them in the corner, because they've got it wrong.
Ha-ha.
They are. Michelle, you've been vindicated.
Thank you.
And we're down to 5.
Already?
Yes. Is it warm in here tonight, or is it me, Michelle? Oof.
It's because you look so hot, James.
Is it? No, actually, no, it's you, isn't it? It's your top. That's what's doing it. I wonder what is making me... Robo Squirrel has made it 400. Asked the question. And got it. Here we go. The blinds are 81.60. Gazo Louis got a pair of 8s. Well, he hasn't got enough chips to be limping. And there we go. He's put a raise in. Made it 480. And Golf Mad can't call with that. I think it's very tough. In fact, he would have been in bad shape there. He'd have been about 6-1 against because he had 2 overcards to his motley 2 cards. Anyway, he's done it right well here, and he's popped it all in with a pair of 8s now. That's quite That's correct play. He had very little chips left. He had to do it. Well, he's given himself a little bit more life there. His energy levels is like one of these sort of PlayStation games. You just saw his energy level just rise up just a little bit there. Hoofy got ace king, makes it 640, takes that down against Robo, doesn't want to contend. Hoofy with the ace king there, big slick. Golf Mad Chef, queen 3, looks pretty motley, even though time's running out. I think he's right to wait there. And queen 3 is a below average hand, and he would be against more people. So in that case, I do think Golf Mad was right waiting just for a random hand on the big blind that time.
What can you do at this point of the game if you're just not getting
Let's
any
have a look
hands?
to see. There we go. Sorry, just want to finish that story there. Golf Mad, he turned down the queen 3 beforehand.
Yep.
He's actually waited, and now he's got to commit here. It doesn't matter what happens here.
Golf Man.
Yeah, Golf Mad Chef. He's got a7. If someone raises or whatever happens, if they don't, he should
It's a
bet.
free
If they do, he
ride.
should call. But he was there committed, and he had time was running out, and he's got the ace suited. That's enough. He's got to just commit his chips, whatever happens there.
Okay.
The time was. He just couldn't be
Because even
selected.
if you have a bad hand, you
He
may
couldn't
catch
be
something and then you can.
Well,
double
he's got.
through.
We know he's with what he's got though. A7 is fine. You can just have to now say I haven't got
And
enough
now he's
chips to
got
do anything else.
kings.
Yep, and his play with not panicking too. Oh well, he's trying to be too clever. He might. Okay, not much difference you say, but he might as well have just pushed because he's not going to walk away from it.
No.
So as long as he'd have put it in regardless, even if an ace came on the flop, he has to put it in. Hoofy, he's got the ace queen suited.
Robo Squirrel has to put this down. I actually got told off yesterday for while playing in a tournament because, well, you know, I was on the big blind and the small blind, and the person on the dealer button had only 400 chips left, and the blind was 160, and he went all in.
Yes.
And I was told, because I had 2,500, I was told that because I folded a 3-5.
Yes.
And they had to go at me saying, no, I can't really fold that, you should have pushed it. So I go into an argument with him, and I know I should have pushed it, but I go into an argument saying, look, I'd rather give him my 160 chips than another 400 chips when his hand beats my 3-5.
No, but it's not another 400, it's only another 240.
I know, I should have pushed. I don't know, I didn't. I just saw the 3-5 and thought, oh, you can have it. So I just put in the chat box that I was feeling generous. And I liked him more than the other guy.
Yeah, we'll have to have a look at that now, though, and we'll look at that because it's quite interesting.
It is.
So what it is there is... oh, hang on, what's happening here? Gazalui, King 9. But no good for him, and we've lost another one. We're down to bubble stage. Basically what happened there with Michel, the blinds were 80, 160. And the guy on the button,
yeah,
he pushed all in for 400. Michel was already in for 160. So at the pot, there was Michel's 160, the small blind's 80, which makes 240, plus the guy's 400, which makes 640 in the pot. Michel only had to put in 240. So the odds of that, she's now getting 640 for 240, which are odds of 2.66 to 1. So therefore, there's virtually if he hasn't got a pair, well then you're getting well the best odds of it.
I was playing on another table at the same time.
Let's finish it. So if you haven't got a pair, you're getting well the right odds for it. Well, here we've got a flush here.
Hoofy gets nut splash.
Flush for Hoofy. So basically, that's a case there where you've got enough chips, you're not going to notice another 240 missing from your stack,
no,
and you've got a chance to knock out a player, which will increase your equity in the tournament,
yep,
and you're going to be getting, on average, on the average hand he's got, you're going to be on the right side of the odds.
Well, that's why I mentioned it, because obviously it was the wrong move to do, so I thought it was good to bring it up.
So, yes, and they were right to chastise you in the chat box for that one.
They did, and then I argued with them. And you know when you're making an argument and you know you're not right.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that in future. Oh, look at that. Fish and chips, he's clicked a 6.
Only a king or a 5.
Wow.
For Hoofy doesn't come. It's nice, isn't it, for fish and chips?
Yeah, and Hoofy quite liked that first 5. Fish and chips, he's gone all in now. And it's he's got a flush draw. Oh, and there it is. But so's Hoofy. Can another club come? It doesn't come.
Well,
he had a
Hoofy
chance.
takes it with the ace flush.
And oh, beg your pardon, of course. Yeah, he had the ace flush. What am I thinking of there? Sorry, he had the ace flush already. Beg your pardon. I'm in dreamland. Yes, of course. They both hit the flush. So it was king against ace. Ace flush against king flush. So poor old Fishy now. Sorry, Hoofy, there.
Now
you
who's
had your
gonna
hand
win?
covered, didn't you, mate?
Well,
And there it
look at
is.
that.
Lucky sevens for Hoofy. He's finished him off. It was a clean kill. If it was a bullfight, the crowd would be pleased at that. Killed him in one hit.
Well done, Hoofy.
And there we have pre-flop action. Hands dealt. We'll see a 15% raise by Hoofy. So I like that. We see that Hoofy there has been going into pots raising rather than calling, which in these tournaments is very good. Fish and chips about 50-50. But interesting stat from Hoofy there. He's been showing selective aggression, which is a good recipe for success.
Oh, well done, Hoof. Right, should we check out a cash game now that we've just watched a sit and go tournament?
Which one?
Okay, we're going to head over to a 50-cent $1 cash game so we can see the difference between the two.
Yeah.
So what is the difference first, James?
The difference is that you can start with a choice of amounts. You can start with as small as $10 in this game, or as much as $100. In fact, a maximum of $100. So that's the first choice. So you have a choice of how much you're involved for. Next thing is, if you lose your chips, you can just buy back some more. If you lose a few of them, you can top up if you want. So that's another choice. The other thing is, and this is the big difference, the main difference, and is in a cash game, the blinds stay the same. So all the time you play there, the blinds are going to be small blind 50 cents, big blind $1. Now the very fact that the blind stays the same means that you have the option to be far more selective.
Okay.
Because you start with $100, you've got 100 big blinds. Now sometimes we're looking in these tournaments, we say, oh, he's only got 7 big blinds left, he'll have to do something. Well, in the cash game, you don't have to do something. You can be more selective, and you can wait.
Sit back and wait because
Exactly.
it can last as long as you need it to.
Exactly. And if you go down a bit, you can even top up to give yourself more big blinds a game, to give yourself more time. Then when you're ready and you've got a hand you wish to play, then you can play it powerfully. Also, the next thing is, whereas in a tournament you've only got the one life and you have to protect it, and sometimes you'll just take down a pot rather than risking going any further. In the money game, you can be far more tricky. And now you can actually, when you reach, say, the turn, rather than betting out your opponent, a good money player will actually offer his opponent the wrong price for a drawing hand. Now, he will get beaten some of the time, but by offering this situation, say 100 times, and he's offering his opponent 2 to 1 when the guy was 4 to 1, for example, he's going to be well into the land of profit. Because the guy is making a bad bet. He's getting 2 to 1 odds when he's 4 to 1 against. So the guy is making a bad bet by calling. So therefore, by offering him the bad bet, you're doing well. Whereas in a tournament in that situation, you might overbet it even more just to say, I'm happy to take down the pot as it is because I really don't want to risk my life. So there's another big difference.
Well, let's touch on that just slightly because it's very, very confusing. Now, giving somebody the wrong odds to call their draw.
Yes.
If we can explain that a little bit more to our viewers that
okay, let's say
won't understand.
Let's say on the turn, that means when we've got 4 cards out there on the flop. On the turn, if there was $20 in the middle, and you had a made hand,
say a pair of kings or something.
yeah, or top, say you had a pair of aces, top, whatever, etc., etc. Say, but you got a made hand, or you got a pair of kings in your hand, and the way the betting's been going, you're pretty sure that your opponent is on a draw hand. There's
Maybe
probably,
they've just been checking and calling
yeah,
rather
there's
than raising
two
and
diamonds
raising.
on the flop, say.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to 1 card to come, approximately your opponent is 4 to 1 against.
Okay.
If you bet the pot and say, okay, 20, there's 20 in the middle and you bet 20,
so
you're
only,
2 to 1. You're only giving your opponent 2 to 1 because when you bet the pot, 20 plus 20 is 40. They've got 20 to call. 20 to 40 is 2, so they're getting 2 to 1. Okay, so, and then you can vary that. You can say, okay, I'll bet, in fact, if you bet £10 into a 20 pot, then they're getting
4 to 1.
Michelle, that's good. We'll show we've still got room to learn here. 20 in the middle, you've bet 10. 20 and 10 is 30. And they've got 10 to call.
3 to 1.
3 to 1. That's good. Don't worry. No. Oh, okay, but it doesn't matter because it's beginner's night and that's how we're all going. It's good to relate to something like that because it's easy to make a mistake.
And my maths is rubbish.
But that doesn't matter, is it? Because this is how we're going to...
This is how we're going to learn.
This is how we're going to learn. So don't worry about it. It's no problem. And you realise you'd made a mistake and that's great. So 3 to 1. Now, the odds of making the flush is 4 to 1. So therefore, the person is getting the wrong odds.
Yes.
Now, just when we think we've got it sorted and we think we're very happy with the situation, there is a slight complication. We have to now look to see how much more money they've got left and how much more money you've got left. And also, you've got to be careful because if they make the flush and you pay them off, then they get...
Implied odds.
Well done. They're getting implied odds. So now... Which means they say, oh, if I hit my flush and they pay me, well, then it's worthwhile. So now, the way
But then again, a flush is very noticeable, and if you've already put them on a draw...
Yeah, you mightn't pay them.
Might pay them
right, so now the person on the other end who's working it out, generally people look at implied odds with rose-tinted spectacles. And generally, they're not getting as much as they think they're going to get from what you said, because people say, pretty sure you've got a flush. So now they can't charge too much. So now, if the guy, we go back to the first situation, the 20 with 20 in the middle, if he's getting 2 to 1, but he says, oh, I might get implied odds, he has to get $20 off you when he hits his flush just to come level.
Yeah. So it's not looking
So he's got to get, say, 30 to make a profit, decent profit.
Well,
I don't think you're necessarily going to pay him that.
So maybe,
yeah, you might only pay him 10, in which case he's only getting 3 to 1, even with that on top, so he's still on the wrong side of it.
Now, how much do you actually have to know this stuff? How important is it to know it exactly, or is it okay just to have a general feel of what a pot should be?
Well, to start with, because most people, if you're playing in a small game, most people you're playing with have only got a general feel for it anyway, so it's not too bad just to have a general feel. But we do have to, listen, to enjoy the game more and more, it's best for us to learn and improve, and then we'll enjoy the game more. Because the more you've studied and learned the game, the more when you watch it, even when you're not in the hand, you'll enjoy it, because you'll be seeing situations and learning more from other situations. So no, we should progress, and we shouldn't be frightened of odds. However bad we are at maths, or however bad we were at maths at school, it doesn't matter. It's simple maths, and we can get our head around it.
So if somebody...
and we should do. For money game, you do need to...
You should more for a money
know
game.
their odds, yeah.
So if you're on a flush draw on the flop,
yes,
and somebody bets the pot, which people do a lot,
yes,
you're getting 2 to 1, so you're actually... But this is where it starts getting confusing for me.
No, but the thing is...
Because you're getting 2 to 1 odds to hit your flush by the river.
No, that's no good, because the problem is, on that one card, you're still virtually 4 to 1 against it to make you flush on that one card. Because then they can bet again. If you miss it...
Because isn't it 2 to 1 to get it by the river on the flop,
Yes,
though?
it's 2 to 1 get it by the river, but they're going to charge you again.
On the turn?
Yes.
So unless you think you're going to get a free card on the turn,
exactly,
you can't call that.
No.
So therefore, when you bet
unless, and this is what I was talking about earlier, unless...
Implied odds?
No.
No?
Yeah, sort of, but not implied, unless... What does the draw need? If you're playing draws, what do you need?
Well, unless you hit your card.
No, what do you need? Go on, think it out. What is good to play? Do you want to play draw hands heads up?
No, you want more people in the pot. I see where you're
now that compensates because you're getting paid. They're all putting money. Now you have a chance to call because you say you're getting that extra money in the pot.
And you have to think about that as well. And
so that is why, because this is important, that's why we want company when we're playing draw hands.
Company, not heads up.
So when you've got the draw hand, you don't want to try and frighten a few of them away. You want them to keep putting the money in because you know if you hit your nut flush draw, you're going to win it anyway. So you're happy to keep them in.
That's really interesting information for playing draw hands, actually. Really interesting, because sometimes it's very difficult when deciding to carry on for your draw. Even if you, like you say, if you're just about getting odds but not quite, you think... But yeah, and you don't even think about how many people are in the pot.
No. There's odd times when we've got position on our opponent and we've maybe got a flush draw, but this time we can represent we've got something else. So now we can probably be an aggressor with the flush draw in a better way, pretending we've got a different sort of hand. With having, it's like that's a semi-bluff. But generally, when you're in the middle of a pot and you've got, say, a nut flush draw, you're very happy for all people to pop around. It's no good really to try and do a funny bluff raise and try and thin the field. You're actually frightening away your value. You want to keep them in there because you say, if I hit that flush, I'm going to win anyway. And you're only going to be frightened if the board pairs up.
So the things we're thinking about here, if we've got a draw, now this is something that I do and have done. There's no point you, especially if there's 3 or 4 people in the pot, there's no point you making a bet to get rid of people. You'd rather give yourself that free card.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's right. Or if you're there and there's a lot of people in the pot, sometimes if you know the field, if you think they're very passive, you could put a small bet in so they could all put a bet in to bump up the pot, and because you were getting odds. I mean, that's a little bit more sophisticated, but you could do that. But generally, no, you just say, I don't want anyone to re-raise me to make my draw hand any more expensive. Let's just keep it this price.
See if we can give us
a
free
let's
card
see if I
and
can
let's
hit
have
it.
a look.
Yeah. So you want to keep them in there. So if you've got a nut draw hand, you want to keep the people in there.
But if it's heads up,
heads up, then we can maybe switch plays. Sometimes we can represent something else and play our flush draw as a semi-bluff. Basically, we can try and pretend we've got a made hand, but if it all goes wrong, we've got the escape route of the flush draw. We know we're underdog. We say, this isn't what I wanted. I wanted to bully you out of the pot. It hasn't worked. Now it's time to get lucky.
Oh, I think we've all learnt something here in the last 10 minutes, James.
Does that include Michelle?
It does, yes.
Oh, good.
But the thing is a lot of it I have heard before,
right?
But it hasn't sunk in,
right?
So I'm still not practicing some of it,
right?
If you see what I mean. I've heard it been said before,
just hasn't registered.
But it hasn't still registered.
But it has now.
So again, when it's drummed into you, and you remember again, next time I'm on a draw hand,
yeah.
I'll remember again. Say, right now, remember, you need to be thinking about these particular things. I mean, I do have a list that's up by my computer for my tournaments. Things like, are they on the blinds? What did they do pre-flop? Just little pointers for myself so I can look back. But in the cash game, I don't have anything like that. So it's very...
Have I put my eye makeup on?
Who have I forgotten to text? But it is
Did I remember to send him a nasty message?
It is difficult to get your head around the odds sometimes, though, isn't it?
Well, yes, but don't be frightened of it. Because a lot of these things are just like different things in life. It's just be positive. And don't suddenly go, oh, I hate odds. Because it's a bit like it's self-fulfilling. And now you're not going to be thinking clearly. Oh,
I should have brought in my odds chart for you to fill out for me.
All right. But you could just say, hang on, I mightn't be the best at maths, but just let me take my time and I can get it right. That's a far better attitude to have.
Yeah.
And just say, I will get better at it, because I'm going to just specialise on the bit of maths I need for this subject, which I enjoy doing. So, no problem. So be positive. Don't give yourself the pressure of, you put yourself under pressure if you say you can't do it.
Yeah.
Or as I said, it becomes self-fulfilling. Say, I can do it, just let me take my time, I will get there. And that's what we should all do. Well, let's have a look at this game. Sorry, guys, we neglected you a bit there, but we did have an important topic, which I hope has helped some of our beginners.
Yes, very important topic.
6-Jack-3. So Nick N has got the middle pair and a backdoor flush draw.
3 to the flush. Remember, it's always the best 5-card hand, and you can use any of the cards either in your hand or on the board. It's not like Omaha, where you have to use 2 from your hand.
Oh, yes. I was showing Michelle some Omaha just before the show.
I couldn't get my head around it.
No, but you quite liked the look of it.
Yeah, no, it looked good. I'm so used to Hold'em.
And she was very good, actually. I must admit, she picked it up. She said, oh, I don't really understand this, whatever. And I was busy talking to her, and then I'd been dealt a hand, and me said, "Oh, look, you've got a good hand. Look, look, look." And she was right. I had aces double suited. So she spied this very quickly, so that's a good sign.
Maybe I'll give Omaha a go. And that was high Omaha, wasn't it?
That was Omaha high, yeah. Don't walk into the high-low by mistake.
As Portman Road hits bottom pair, but Dewey Boy has nothing. Now, maybe that was a situation where Portman Road could have put out a taster bet.
Or a tester bet.
That's what
Yeah, a taster bet.
I'm hungry, I've got food on my mind. A tester bet, maybe a little question. He may have taken that there, because generally aggressive is quite good. Being aggressive is quite good, isn't it?
Well, it's not just that. Sometimes if you don't ask the question, what are you going to do if your opponent bets next time? You don't know why they've bet. You don't know whether they've bet with strength, or you don't know whether they've bet because they think you're weak. You don't know why. You just don't know where you are. And in poker, you have to know where you are. And how do we know where we are? The way is by asking questions. And how do we ask questions? We ask questions by betting.
But you have to be able to put it down as well, don't you? I mean, he had the bottom pair there. If he had bet and then he'd been called or re-raised, he would then have to change it. He's getting his question answered.
But it all depends who he's playing against. Because we've got to look not only at the bets, but then we look at the person and we'll say, what's this player play like normally? What's his style? And then we'll say, well, how many chips has he got at this moment? Or is he on tilt? Is he desperate? Is he whatever? And we've got to piece the whole thing together. So we've got to collect the information, each hand. So what I would like you to do is to think like this. Right, when you put in a raise, and okay, let's run you through something. You're on the button, and you raise 3 times the big blind.
Okay,
And the big blind calls. Everyone else has passed.
The big blind calls.
And the small blind passes, the big blind calls.
Okay.
Okay. What do you think the big blind is thinking about you?
Well, he's going to be putting me on a steal, if everyone, I would think, in a tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, in a tournament, I would guess he's putting me on a steal. I don't necessarily have a hand.
Right. Okay. But does he think you're definitely on a steal?
Well, I suppose depends what I've done before.
Right. So what have you done before in this mythical situation? How have you been playing before?
Well, let's say if I haven't
Have you been playing solidly?
If I've been playing solid yet and I haven't done any stealing, or much stealing, then he's going to be wary of me.
Okay, but he thinks it is possible. Now, what hands can he call with then? Now, what hands do you put him on now? Do you put him on more hands than normal?
The big blind?
The one who's called, yeah.
You should be thinking in your head, because now you've worked out how you're perceived by him, you should now be worried because obviously he has something good enough to call you with when he's maybe slightly worried about you.
Right, but can he be calling with a bit less than normal because he thinks maybe you're stealing?
But yes, he can.
Right, so therefore in that situation you say, actually he can be on a wider
range of cards.
Because I'm on the button, he thinks I'm stealing, etc. So therefore now, you have to now think of the sort of cards you might have. Whereas, if you had raised under the gun, everyone passed and now the big blind calls you, I still think he's out of position. And
he's got to have good cards.
He's got to have a bit better cards now, yes, I think so.
Because it's unlikely for somebody to raise under the gun without a decent,
so that's
very
just
decent
a way
hand.
of that's a little example of piecing together information. So we've got to think about our action, how our action is perceived by others, and what effect that will have on others the way they play.
And it can start getting very complicated, because if you start thinking about how you're perceived, I think, well, they think I'm solid, they think I've got a hand, you can then start playing with lesser hands, because they're going to be putting you on hands.
That's right. And that is part of the reason that we have things like continuation bets, i.e. basically after you've raised, if you've had a solid image and you've raised pre-flop, you might have missed your flop, but you've got position, your opponent checks, and you bet. If you've got a really solid image, they're probably going to give you the benefit of the doubt. However, don't just get in the habit of doing it all the time, because if you do it every time, this will be noticed, and they now will actually come back over the top of you with nothing, because they say you always do a continuation bet. get lost. You're not going to do it to me. So you have to be careful of that. So therefore, you shouldn't always do any play. You should always mix up all your strategies.
Funnily enough, I did I did a brilliant move yesterday, which wasn't actually brilliant. It was bad to start with. But I'd raised pre-flop out of position. I think it was with something like ace-10.
Right.
And then I missed the flop completely.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't have anything. So I checked. And it was only me and one other player in it. So I checked. And then he bet at me. And I thought to myself, well, I knew he was going to bet because I checked. He was always going to bet if I checked. But then I raised pre-flop, so I should have raised then.
Yes.
So I then re-raised him. So I did the check raise. And he folded.
Very good.
And I didn't go out to do the check raise. I made the mistake of checking. He bet. And then I thought, no, obviously he's betting.
Well, that's good. That's far more powerful than the bet.
And usually I never would have had the balls to do that.
That's very good. Because what Michelle's done there is a far more powerful play. Because if she just done a bet having missed the flop, people might think, oh, she might be doing a continuation bet. But there's no way do they think that she's checked and then come back over the top of the guy when he's bet. So that's a very, very powerful play. And that is a great sign. The very fact that you can do that, that is a very, very good sign.
Yeah, it felt good when I did it.
What size did you do the re-raise?
I think it was the second stage, so it was 2040. I'm trying to remember where I was at. Now, he'd put in about the pot.
Well, you'd raised before the flop.
I'd raised between the flops to 80-120.
Yeah, 120.
Which is my
The blinds are
standard.
20-40.
20-40.
Yeah,
so I've done
120,
3 times,
yeah.
so 120, because my standard is about 3
now,
times.
the flop came, you checked.
The flop came and I checked, and I
bet
think he put in about 180 or something
180,
like that.
180, and what did you put in?
I raised it to about 320, something like that.
Or a bit more, probably. You couldn't, 180.
Whatever, it comes up automatically when you do the slider.
Oh, you just did a flat raise.
No, it wasn't a flat raise, it was the one after. You know when you slide up?
Okay.
So I'd slide up to the next one, whatever
540.
it was. I can't remember.
Okay. Anyway,
I think it was something like 200 chips more than what he'd done. About 250 chips more, something like that.
I wouldn't overdo it, but I would do sort of, like even a 3 times back again or something generally. Just it's a good enough question, but not over the top.
2 times up the slider, so whatever that works out.
All right.
But yeah, it worked. But then you have to. I don't know. It's very difficult to be able to do that. In that situation, it felt right, and I thought, oh, he's only betting because I checked, and he blatantly doesn't. You know, it's very easy that he doesn't have anything. But it's such a difficult move to do because it's a lot of chips that you could lose.
To be fair, it's something you shouldn't do too often because to do that just as a cast iron bluff is difficult, and because it's only going to work the percentage of times that he passes, obviously, because if your hand is pretty suspect and he might have something, or who knows. If you can do it and you've got a bit of a semi-bluff there, if, say, it gives you a middle pin, or it gives you if there's something which is very positive if you get lucky.
If they happen to then call you, you've got out.
Now this means that if it then carries on, you're going to really get a monster pot as well. Now when we work out what happens over 100 times, those times if you've got something to really give you a monster, which he'll never put you on, you'll think she could never re-raise me with a middle pin straight draw, so they'll pay you off on this because they won't believe it. Then if you've got that going for you as well, when we work out what happens over 100 times, that will well go in your favour because you'll win massive pots the 4 times that you hit your middle pin.
And there's not actually many times where you'll bluff with absolutely nothing, is there? There's not many times when you're going to need to bluff with absolutely nothing.
No, the only time you'll probably be bluffing with absolutely nothing is probably after the river, when you've just missed everything, you haven't got everything, but you think, I can take this down with a bet. And that's probably a time when you can bluff with absolutely nothing. And that time, the bluff is actually, of course, you're getting the full value for your bluff because there's no other way you can win it. Whereas where people make a mistake is they sometimes make a bluff when they've got sort of like a middle range hand. This is very bad because this middle range hand would have won on merit. So even if they checked it down, it would have won on merit quite a few times. So now when they bluff with it, basically, they think they're bluffing with it. Some of the time it would have won anyway without any risk. And the problem is that it's leaving less of a time where you're going to gain by it. Because suppose you would have won half the time.
Yeah.
Well, we're only talking about now 50%, which we're aiming for. Whereas you're not getting such value. Whereas if you've got no hand at all and say, oh, they pass 50% of the time, well, then you're gaining that pot 50% of the time, which you wouldn't have had.
It's all very confusing, ladies and gents, isn't it?
But it's good. That's what makes it a good game.
And it is that's what makes it a brilliant game, to be fair. There's so much to it.
If it was too simple, we'd get really bored with it.
We would. And we've got an email here from Benji Boy and Nicky Jim. Hi, guys. I think they're brothers. He says, you might remember us from your show last week, Michelle. Well, how could I forget the brothers, Benji Boy and Nicky Jim? He says, well, me and my big brother need your help again, please. Well, the other day, we called with a pair of sevens. The flop came down and we hit trip sixes. But we got beat by a guy who had a queen seven. And guess what he hit? His queen and the two sevens and one with a full house. But there seemed to be no logic to why he kept on calling, because there was no flush draw on his part or any other possible reason to why he kept on maintaining his calls whilst we kept on raising aggressively. We've also boycotted the call button almost completely and started raising more often instead. This sort of seems to get rid of the nutters who go all in at the first crack with Queen 7. Your thoughts would be very much appreciated. Please help, as our £70 profit we have made so far is at risk. And he says, by the way, Nicky, Jim and Benji Boy both think you both look great.
Oh, no, it's stunning, actually.
Thanks for your help. Well, thank you very much, Benji. But so you play together, guys. Wow, so they're a little team that play together. That's lovely. So they can't get away from that. It seems the other guy was just prepared to call with anything. He just kept calling with his Queen 7 and got lucky with the full house at the end.
Yeah, basically the thing there is I quite like that where they said we're sort of doing away with the call button and we're looking at the raising button more often. I mean, that is basically a very good, solid principle for us all to follow. And it goes back, you'll hear it again and again, in the Hold'em, it is far better to be a better than a caller. Because being the better, you've always got the chance that they might pass. So that's an added percentage to the outcome of that hand. You've got fold equity, which is marvellous. This is the wonderful part of the game. If you can capture FE, fold equity, then life becomes sweet. So therefore we should be the aggressor. Not just crazy, but i.e. a solid sort of way of playing in a cash game is to be tight, aggressive. So therefore that would mean being selective, because you can be, because there's plenty of time. But when you do play, be aggressive, which means you capture fold equity.
Fold equity. Well, Benji and Nicky, do keep us informed of how you're getting on, because it is lovely to hear from you. And hopefully we'll see you on the TV table soon. And we've got an email from Carly, says, evening both, I've learnt loads from the show, thanks very much. And we talk about keeping records of hands. What info do you write down about your own hand and betting, and how much about other players? And I might jump in the Beat the Presenter soon, see had a good run lately. And we'll do, playing it tonight, because I'm playing in it after the break, so come and have a go, Carl. But yes, how much information do you need to write down about your...
Yes, well, you should be writing mainly down about your opponents. So therefore, when you're playing in a game, you don't actually have to be in the hand. You can just be watching. The hand you're not in, you should still be playing poker. You should still be working and collecting data. You should be a data collector. So therefore, you're watching a pot. Perhaps you're not even in it. There's been a raise pre-flop by Romeo Roy. So therefore, now check out the rest of this pot, how it plays out, see how many times he raised before the flop, how many big blinds he raised before the flop, what happened after that, did he bet, etc., etc. If eventually you see his cards, you can then have a pattern of his play, take notes of the pattern of his play.
OK, well, thank you for that, James. We are heading to a break now, but we've got poker news, so enjoy that. And then when we come back, I'll be playing in Beat the Presenter, and James will be commentating on all the action. So don't go anywhere, and James and I will see you soon. Good evening, welcome back to Poker Night Live, the award-winning poker show. How are you all? I hope you enjoyed our first hour. We had some really good stuff going on in that first hour, I thought. Some good conversation. We've learned quite a lot.
You enjoyed it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, actually. I love it when you talk odds, James.
Well, pull it to pieces slowly, and yeah. Good. That's what we want to hear.
Right, well, I am about to play and be the presenter. Before I do, we do have a quick email here from Andy. Good evening to you, Andy.
Well, they're making you work, are they?
They're going to make me work.
Yeah, go on then.
Earn me money somehow. He says, hi Michelle and James, I've got a question regarding multi-table tournaments. When you can choose between several multi-table tournaments and have the bankroll for it, what kind of requirements do you look for when to try to find the tournament with the best value? Is it the total prize money? Is it the price structure, the number and quality of players, etc.? Do you actually have a mathematical formula for calculating and comparing the value from different tournaments? For example, if you have one tournament with $2,000 added prize money and 200 decent players, and another tournament which has $5,000 added prize money but has 400 players of different quality. So what requirements are you looking for here, James?
Okay, that's a good question. And I think the point here is basically, it's not just for tournaments, it's actually for money games as well, is actually game selection. And that is a massive part of poker. So being selective with the games is just as good as being selective with your hands. Now I think Michelle's wisdom away there. Go and carry on with your with added money there. I'm not going to go into that one too much. You just it was regarding adding the two different amounts. You can work out obviously which one's giving you the more added money in ratio to the number of top players. Well, I'm not going to go into that on a beginner's night. I think it's a little bit too deep. But yes, have a look. Obviously, if you see a tournament with added money, that is a great help because you already have got some equity thrown in there by the site or by the casino. Also, when you're looking at tournaments, you can look to see what the registration fee is. Maybe certain sites will charge you $8 for a $100 tournament, others might charge you $9 or $10. Again, you can see you've got a little bit more value, and over time these things will help to make a difference. But probably the overriding point is the quality of the players. And if you think that one tournament is it's probably better that you concentrate on playing some lower level tournaments where the quality of the players is poor and where you're probably one of the best players. Why? Because you're going to have less fluctuations in your results. You probably, which is going to be good for your bankroll, and you are, going to be consistently in the money there. So once you build up your bankroll, now, and you do need a big bankroll for tournaments because there's a lot of fluctuation in tournaments. You can play for a long time in tournaments and play very well and miss out getting first or second prize or the big prizes. So we have to protect our bankroll for tournaments. We mustn't get carried away there. We mustn't overextend ourselves. So very true, very good point. Be selective. Look around. Look for value in different ways. By all means, look for added money, but also look at the quality of the field and don't be too proud to play a smaller tournament where you think the opposition is very weak. Game selection, very important.
Do remember, if you have any questions, you can text them into us. The text number is 84222. There it is. And do write the name poker first, or the word poker first, and then your question. And you can email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Right, we're going to head over to our multi-table tournament, I think, James.
Good idea. Let's have a look. First look at the MTT. Okay, this is our multi-table tournament. And in tonight's tournament, I believe it was a $10 tournament. And there were 111, legs 11 plus 1, 111 runners. And they were spread out over 14 tables. And I can tell you now that we're actually down, the field's been decimated. We're down to 27 runners. And they, of course, are spread out over 4 tables. So therefore, and we're actually on the big stack table now, we started off with, in play, there's 166,500 chips. So we're down now to 27 players. So our average stack there is 6,166. Feels very much like the sign of the devil there, lots of sixes. We started off with lots of ones, and now we finish with lots of sixes as the average. Spooky. Okay, let's have a look. So at this table, we've got two chunky stacks there. We've got, I'm going to ask Michelle there, what's that one on the left?
Sorry, Irid.
Irid, is it? Okay, great,
Yep.
thanks, that's it. Irid and Poker for Taffy. Bejeebers. It's got 11,000 and Irid's got 17,000. And Gullo's all in here with a pair of nines. He doesn't want to guess where he is. And as it happens, we could see he was in a nice situation there because Ollie, the one, had ace-9. Of course, he only had the 1-over card, which was the ace. So Gullo would have been about a 73% favourite in that situation. We're down to 23 runners now, and we're just spread out over 3 tables. And Ollie, the one, has now made it another all-in move here. We're really pushing the chips around here. He's made it 4,450. Gullo, it's his tournament, and he puts it down. He puts the pair of tens down. Well, we can see it's... Listen, I can sympathise with him. It was an awkward situation. He felt Ollie could have one of the... He's trying, in his mind, he's putting him on his window of hands. I'm not saying his decision was right there, but let's see what his thought process would have been. He's thinking, well, Ollie could have a big pair because he's under the gun. He doesn't have to push in, perhaps, with anything. So he's thinking he's going to be selective-ish. So he thinks he could have a pair of jacks, queens, kings, or aces. Then he thinks if he hasn't got that, he might well have ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack. Now, all those hands would be, he'd be a 4-to-1 underdog against jacks, queens, kings, and aces. And he'd be a small favourite against ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, or king-queen, or king-jack. So there's a lot of hands out there, and those are the likely hands that Ollie could have been making the move with. As a package, that's not as favourable as it first looks for the pair of tens. Now, what he has to put into the equation is Ollie the one capable of pushing with a lesser hand? And how often is he likely to do that? Then he has to put that into the equation and balance it all out to see what the average hand would be. Well, as we could see, Ollie was capable. He pushed it in with a pair of sixes, where in fact, of course, Gullo was in fact a fours-on favourite, an 80% favourite. I think it was a very close decision. Why I wouldn't be so against it is because Gullo, I think, is following the principle that he would prefer to be a better than a caller. And if that was his underlying thought in his mind, well, then I would respect that thought. And let's just follow his play to see if that is what he does. So an interesting situation, a difficult one for him. It basically was difficult because it was his tournament as well. I'm not sure I would have put it down. I think I might have had to just have committed my tournament to that because I was below average chips at the time. And I'd have thought that was my chance to get over about 9,000 chips. But I did say that the average at that time is over 6,000. Anyway, on with the game, and Ping Pong P. What a name. I quite like it. Ping Pong P. Ping Pong P has got a pair of jacks. Blinds are 200, 400. And Ping Pong P, what's he going to do? He just makes a small raise, a flat raise. He makes it 800. Ollie the one, we saw him before, with the pair of sixes. What's he going to do with an ace-queen? And wham! He's made it 4,450. All in. He likes that all-in button. Ping Pong P, I think he's going to call this. He does. And he's got a flush draw.
he doing?
And he's a goner. Ping pong P.
What
You got
is he
him.
doing, James?
I don't know. What's up, Doc?
Oh dear.
Okay, poker taffy there on the small blind. Makes up the small blind with queen 10. Flop, ace 3-3. Notice that Duke has got a straight draw. Needs a 2 for a straight or a flush draw. Needs a club. And it's a middle pin straight draw for poker for taffy. And there it is. It's the king of clubs, but it does make 2 pair. It's a scary looking board. What does Duke think? He thinks I'm winning. He bets 800. Poker for taffy's got nothing. So is he going to try and push him off it? I don't think he should, because Duke's not got much money left, and I think he would call. And that's what you should be looking at in this situation. Has my opponent got many chips left? No, he hasn't. Well done, poker for taffy. You didn't try anything extreme. And hopefully that was because you were looking at how many chips your opponent had and assessing. Oh, and Ping Pong P, he's found another pair. Ping Pong P sounds like a character from Little Britain or something, doesn't it? Madangle. Surrendered. Portman Road. Sounds like off Monopoly. Gullo, ace queen on the small blind, and he's got overcards and the flush draw. In Gullo's mind, that's what he's got, but of course he's only got 1 overcard because Ping Pong P's got King Kong. Gullo bets 800, flat raise from Ping Pong. Gullo there, and I think Ping Pong, maybe there with that flush draw, he could have actually charged him more and just pushed, but there we go. If your opponent's on the draw, that's when they're going to pay, and I think he should push now. Charge him everything. Charge him everything. Don't be tricky. Oh, I didn't like that weedy little bet. Well, as it happens, it might go in his favour, funnily enough, and he might get paid. But you gave him a cheap draw to get a flush. And oh, it has gone in his favour. I said it might go in his favour. Gullo fall in love with the queen. Ping Pong must surely believe he's winning. He does, and he wins that. That looks like it was clever. I don't think it was quite right. Not for a tournament play. He should have actually just pushed, I think, on the turn there. Dangerous looking flop in lots of ways. His opponent could well have been on a draw hand. However, it did go in his favour. The queen came on the river. Gullo got all overexcited with it and lost all his chips. So we're down to 19 runners now. That's spread out over 3 tables. And let's have a look here. Oh, it's a big bet here from Duke with Big Slick. It's pushed that all-in button again. Winner, winner. Chicken dinner. Average chips is 8,763. Ping pong, you do nothing but pick up big pairs. You've had pair of jacks, pair of kings. You've got American Airlines now. How do you do it? Sell me the secret before I go to Slovenia. I need it. Poker Taffy has just flat called with ace king. Oh, and 3 times the big blind from Ping Pong P is a good bet, because I'll tell you what, Poker Taffy might walk into this one with a re-raise. I sense it. I feel it in the air. I feel it in the air. Poker for Taffy, I think, is going to... No, he doesn't. Lucky for him. He's just called it. A dangle. Look what he's got. Pair of sixes. He's hit a full house. 3 sixes and 2 jacks. Ping Pong P, you're going to need an ace, pal. But, or a jack. But, Poker Taffy's got one of your aces. He's bet 1,200. What's Madangle going to do? He knows he's got the business, and he's re-raised. Ping Pong P is going to be frightened about the jack. He doesn't think he's got a full house. He's worried that his opponent's got a jack. And he's asked a question, and he's re-raised him. Madangle's pressed the button all in. Oh, and Ping Pong Pete didn't listen to anything there. And I'm sorry, it's very difficult, but I think he could have well put that down. There's a pair of jacks on the board. I'm not expecting him to realise that Madangle has got a full house sixes, but once there's a raise and a re-raise and a re-raise and Madangle's still there, you've got to be asking yourself the question, what is he there with? Well, listen, it doesn't take much for him to have had a jack in his hand. He could have had Queen Jack, Ace Jack, or whatever. And I think Ping Pong could have listened to the answer there, and he fell in love with his hand, which looked so beautiful pre-flop. But you've got to look at your hand and reassess it once the flop has come. You've got to reassess it once the betting has been taken place. And you've got to look at what's happening. Did I raise? Did I re-raise? Why is he still there? Why did he re-raise me? Why does he want to push all his chips in? You've got to ask all those questions, and we've got to decipher, my goodness, Madangle's hit trips again. How do these people do it? I want to learn the secret. Unbelievable. He's there, his chip lead, and he's got trips again, and he's teasing him now. Oh, my goodness, he's 4 twos. This is outstanding. And Poker Tuffy there, who's got 2 pairs, 4s and 2s, is up against 4 twos. And goodness me, he got paid. Madangle there, 4 twos. And he's marched on there to, there it is, a 2 on the river. He had trip 2s on the flop, very tasty. There was a possible flush draw there, no one had it. Ended up with 4 twos, and now he's got King Queen. The blind's up to 3-6. He's just called with King Queen. He could be one of JB's followers there, because King Queen rules in the land of the unraised pot. So I think he could be a JB follower. So Madangle, I might have to cheer you on. And it's been raised. And he's passed it! Madangle, you followed the rule. King Queen rules the land of the unraised pot. He had no problem. He threw it away. You are a JB follower. I can tell it now. That's great. Yes, I'm going to be really biased towards you now. Please email in and tell me if you have taken notice of that phrase. So Madangle, let us know. Email in if you have followed the phrase there, because you played that hand perfectly with it. Other people could have lost loads of chips.
You're rather excitable tonight, as Balrog's just pointed out, quite rightly.
Oh, am I?
That's good. It's
I'm trying to put a little bit of oomph into the commentary, Balrog.
Look, like yourself says, you have character.
Have I? Thank you, Balrog.
He's got about 15 characters, actually. Come on, do us an impression, James.
All right, Johnny Vegas here. Is it a 7 on the turn? I like being on the button, especially if it's made of chocolate.
All right, that's it.
Okay, some very odd requests. Everyone always asks me to do shout-outs, and Isa wants me to do a shout-out to his telly.
A shout-out to his teddy?
Which is a Sony. His
I thought it was
telly.
his teddy. Oh, sorry. His telly. To his telly.
Maybe
He's
he hasn't
weird.
been out for a while.
Have you got a wide screen? I've got a flat, wide screen and I shine it every day. Oh, look, we've got cowboys on the button. Portman Road, King Kong, Madangle, surrenders. Bunsky might have a little look with the sixes, but he hasn't got that many chips. So this could be, oh, he has had a little look. Portman Road, there's an extra play in there, he should raise. Hope you're concentrating on your game, Michelle.
Of course I am. I wouldn't dream of chatting in the text box.
No, just I hear this funny sort of tapping noise a lot.
I'm really concentrating.
I don't want any of this excuses, oh, I don't get lucky when I'm on Miss New James. Oh, and look at that! Bunsky, my goodness, on the river, he catches the 6. Mayday, mayday, help me, help me. And along it came. Sign of the devil, Damien, the omen, 3 6s. We're going to have it tattooed on your forehead, Bunsky. We're now down to 2 tables. They're really motoring along here. There's been lots of action, lots of big hands, lots of trips, and last cards, and it's been buzzing here. Homer. No thanks. Merdangle. Merdangle, me dear. He's got a pass, I think. He does. Bunsky. Jack 6. Looks pretty motley. 8-5. I think I'd chuck that away. Poker for Taffy. You're on the button. Well, 900, 590, I think you could push here. I would push. I would try and take those blinds down. Nah, he missed the opportunity. King 2 suited on the button. I've only got 4,600. The blinds are 300, 600. I think it's a very good time to push. Each round's going to cost you 900. 5 rounds is going to cost you 4,500. The time was ripe. The position was ripe. But unfortunately, you couldn't pull the trigger. Poker for Taffy. Come on. Well, you won't do it this time. You had more people behind you. The other time was great. You just had the blinds against you. They still wouldn't have liked to call because they didn't have loads of chips. It was their tournament you were asking to put on the line. That was a situation. And a lot of times in poker, in the tournaments, sometimes if we're not getting cards, we've got to play situations as much as anything else. By that, I mean we look for opportunities when we've got position, when we know there's very little opposition there. I mean, a good thing in a live game is, I was in a tournament the other night, I think in Newcastle, and just by looking around, you could see people basically picking their cards up, just ready to pass them. All of a sudden, you're getting a clue like that. And this actually, if they're there, they're sort of looking at the cards, they're like sat like this, just like waiting to chuck them away. Great, just keep on looking around and see if anyone else gives you an indication that they're going to pass. Then think, are they tricky enough to try and trick me they're going to pass, but they've got a monster? Most times not. They look bored and they're just going to pass automatically. This now gives you a window of opportunity maybe to make a bet. It could be the final decision to make that push. So always be aware, always be on the lookout.
I don't have a hand, but I was thinking if I did, I would have to have a poker face.
Oh, right.
Oh no, I've just turned the computer off with my foot.
Not good.
Oh no!
Well, try
No,
and turn it on with your
off.
foot. Can the boys in the back room come and help, please, quick, while we'll go back to the game.
Oh no!
Okay.
What have I done? James?
They'll be pinching your blinds.
Whoops.
Well, it's a Poker Night Live first.
I hit the off button with my shoe.
Matt, stay to help. It's still no. Oh yeah. Okay,
Guys, can you
back
just
to
all
the
not
game.
play until I get back on, please?
Yeah, as if they're going to take your blind. You'll have no chips by the time you go back.
I'm clever. Don't work that one out. Oh. You're right there, James.
Yes, I'm fine.
I'm having a bit of a panic
I'm a bit stressed here too. I'm watching the screen. It seems to be taking... A watch screen never wants to come on, does it?
It's taking ages.
It's the longest I've ever seen it booting in.
It's not...
It's doing nothing.
No, it's coming. Oh, come on.
Maybe you can go on here. Damn, put her on here, quick.
It's so big. Oh no, I'm here. Well, it's coming. It's
Is it?
all right. Oh, but I'm not logged in or anything. It's all happening, James.
It's all happening. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the game here. Pair of queens for Homer is made at 1,200, and the Jack 10's called. Well, he's got the top pair for Irid there, and he's got backdoor straight draw. He bets 1,200. What's Homer going to do? He asks the question. He's got 6,600. He whacks it all in. Is Irid good enough to put it down? Is he good enough to put it down? We're checking it out. Yes, he is, and that's a good pass, Irid. You've got top pair and you put it down. Well played. Very, very good. You didn't know where you were. You didn't like the feel of it.
I'm back.
She's back.
I'm back. And I think I still have the same amount of chips.
No, it looks like you lost a blind.
Oh, maybe.
Anyway, don't be revealing what's going on. We want it to be as a surprise. And it's, look at this, a bit of a train crash here. We've got the pair of nines has raised it up from Madangle, and it's a re-raise from Irid. And Madangle here, the good thing for Madangle is a king and a jack, and I think that's enough for him to be able to pass. Yes, it is. Well done. We're seeing some good play here. Irid there, he played it very well again because Madangle didn't like the flop, checked it. Irid realised beforehand Madangle had a hand, but he did have a pair himself and thought, he doesn't like the king or the jack, I'm going to represent here that I've got one of them. And I've got a pair anyway. So he read the situation well. Both players played extremely well there. Excellent poker. Very, very good. And so far these players are playing extra well because they're not switching their computers off in the middle of the tournament, which is very good play.
I actually panicked. I had a panic attack.
Yes. A slight blonde moment from Michelle.
Oh, I'm allowed them.
Yeah, we'll just look at this hand, then let's have a look at the other table. We've got Madangle here, who's done a flat raise with ace-queen. By that I mean he's gone 600 with 600 and he's taken those chips. Let's have a look at next door. Anybody there? We're going to zip through the matrix and have a look. Look at that. Fresh faces. Let's assess. Who do we want to win? Who's our favourites? Who's our tip? And ace-7-6. King Jim gets pushed off it by flip's sake. And blinds here, of course, still on the same the other table. 300, 600. Charwell, 3-4 suited. King Jim, I think we're going to see something here. How much is he going to bet? He's got ace-10 suited on the button. He's meditating, I think, rather than thinking. Come on, mate. Oh, and there we go. He's made it 2,000. Flip's 8 passes. Crafty Potter passes. Well done, Jim. King Jim, no less. Frantic, King 6. Graham. Charwell. Ooh, what a funny looking bet that one is. Well, has he read it right? He has, Charwell. Very brave. King Jack. He's still a couple of players. The cut off of the button and the blinds. So quite a very aggressive play by Charwell. We don't know what the flavour of this table is. We've just started to watch this one. We'll see if it's passive or aggressive. And Graham, under the gun, has made it 1,600 with KJ, King Jack. And Frantic's only got 2,100 left. Wow, he's letting himself get really low down here. Because the blinds now are up to 400, 800. And Frantic must go here. He must push. Oh, come on. What did you do there? Now you don't know where you are. I did not like that at all. Oh, now he's done a follow-up bet. Okay, trying to be extra tricky. It's an up and down straight for Graham. He should... well, he could have called that. He was getting 3-1. There's no real reason why Frantic had to have a 5 or a heart. He was a desperate man. That could have been Graham's chance to knock a player out, get more chips with a limited liability. He was going to be just over 2-1 to make his hand. He was getting odds there of 3-1 on the one card. The other guy had very little chips left. The next bet would have been quite good value. Missed an opportunity there, I'm afraid. quite good. Okay, and this is quite a good game. Actually, we've been seeing some interesting plays in this multi-table tournament tonight, so let's just stick with this just a little bit longer. Let's see what else. We could even, in a minute, we'll have a little flashback again if the boys... I would not just a moment, let's just study these players here so we can look at our potential candidates for the final. Oh, and King Jim, look what he's got. Trip twos. These boys are making it easy to hit trips. And the 1600 in the middle. Actually, with a flush draw, it's not bad to bet. Because if the opponent doesn't call, he probably wouldn't have called later anyway. But he could well have called with the flush draw. So that was actually a good bet by King Jim. I quite like that. If there hadn't been a flush draw, I think he could have slow played it. But with the flush draw, if your opponent's got the flush draw, they'll pay maybe for the draw. And you've got the trip, so they've only got 7 outs instead of 9. So you'd have had a good value situation. King Jim, he's on the button, decides, no, I'll leave this one. He must have smelt a rat. But as it happens, he couldn't have smelt this. There's 2 ace queens. 1 suited. Oh, and the unsuited raises a suited. But look at that, they both hit an ace, but there's a flush draw. Oh my goodness, and the vig of the flush draw came true. It was Crafty Pot who did the raising, but it was Flipsake who did the winning. And he did the winning with ace flush. Wow, ace queen against ace queen. Who could have believed it? There he goes. And king queen just called. We're in the land of the unraised pot. So if a queen or a king had come, Flipsake would have known where he was. But Graham is bet. Flipsake had nothing, so he passed. And Graham liked the paired flop. He didn't believe that anyone necessarily had a 7. If they only had 1 3, that was no problem because he had a pair of 6s. Read the situation well, saw the opportunity, and took it in 2 hands. Frantic, on the small blind with Jack 4. Surrenders, doesn't want to get involved. He's playing amazingly tight with his small stack. But his problem now is actually, I have to probably sympathise now. I believe that he let himself get too low. But now he's obviously got to realise, he realises now whenever he moves he gets called. So he's really trying to find the best hand he can. But obviously his move has to be just a push. Anything else would be incorrect. And he's got to look for opportunity. Well, there's a chance there against 2 blinds. He could have had the extra money. He needs the extra money as well, but he's still waiting for a bit bigger hand. He's looking hopefully for an ace or a king maybe, or dreaming of a pair. Let's keep our little spotlight on Frantic to see when he makes his move.
How are you doing there, James?
Yes, I'm enjoying this, and I'm pleased because that tapping noise has stopped, so I think you're concentrating more, so I'm happy.
I need to, that's why.
Exactly. So no more typing. She's not allowed to type anymore. Sorry, guys. She's concentrating. Buster Dimes raises it 3 times the big blind to 2400. King Jim. Surrenders. Well done, Buster. Frantic 6-3. Pretty ropey. 4-10, no. Charwell, no. King Jim, nothing much there. Pass, pass. King Jim, is he going to try and be fruity? He's got people who will actually pass, funny enough. But the sided chips, they can actually... they wouldn't want to be getting into a fight with someone the same size stack as them. There's a 10 there, which worked for Flipsake. American Airlines under the gun. How's he going to play it? Well, he knows he's got 1 customer. Oh my goodness. He's gone all in with aces. He's really trying to make it look like something else. Well, unluckily for him, he's only going to have one customer, which is going to be Frantic, I presume. Here it is. Frantic, I presume, will have to put his chips in here. He does. Nothing wrong with that, Frantic. Oh, and you've got a chance for a straight. Oh, didn't get it. You had 5, 6, 7, 8. You needed a 4 or 9. It didn't come. Frantic, I think you just let it get a bit low. I think you must have missed an opportunity along the way. But at least you saw there, virtually you had to call. Didn't have to have the big pair. You could have had something else. And Graham. Okay, we'll have a look at this hand and then let's just have a little flip over to the other table, see how things are progressing there. Flip sake, ace 8, no connection with the flop, but bet 1600 and got rid of the real hand, which was King Jim. He had the pair of 5s, he didn't like it, and good bet there, use it. Good demonstration of position, how strong position is. Position can knock out even the winning hand. Right, we're down to 11 runners. It's getting tense moments here as they battle their way towards the final. And that's Duke there on the big blind with ace 9 and poker for taffy. So not many chips left, but I don't think this is the one. I actually pass this one because I'll wait for another situation because I think that I'm going to get called. And he thinks the same. And normally I wouldn't be saying that, but now obviously it's gone well for him. He did have a full round of cards to find a hand. He's found a hand. There's only one play. Yes, we know what it is. Press that all-in button, poker for taffy, and see if your jacks can stand up. Here we go. Push, push, push. He's done it. But you're not going to get a customer because Homer's going to pass. And he does. Okay, unlucky. You would have liked to fight there. There's a good chance he'd have been favourite. Bunsky, 7-2, under the gun.
Right, I'm back, James. The game's over.
All right. Smiling.
Yes, I am.
Could it be another success for Michelle?
So what are we watching here, James?
We're in a very exciting moment. We're battling to get to the final of the multi-table tournament. And we're down to 11 players. 6 on this table and 5 on the other. So this is where tension mounts because the blinds are coming round very quickly because we're short-handed. And the blinds are quite chunky, 400, 800. So this is a moment where people say, oh, hurry up, please, someone dying so we can have a table. In fact, I think it's 10 tables, it's 8 tables. They've got more. They've got quite a bit of this to go around. Sorry. Of course, it's an 8-table final. I'm in a dream here. So, yeah, they've got to wait for 3 more players, and they're playing short-handed. The other people are only playing 5-handed. And, of course, that's a lot of pressure. The chips are disappearing quite fast because these blinds are whizzing round. So the short stacks are under pressure here.
Okay.
Because they say, oh, no, these blinds are coming round too often. Let me have
So what can they do then? What's the solution?
Well, the solution is to get more chips, or hopefully, or bait the other people to kill each other. Go on, fight, fight, fight. You know, encourage them to kill each other off. So there's not much they can do. They've got to start winning some hands, and then if they get chips, put pressure on the low stacks themselves. Anyway, 8-6-4. So Duke there has got a pair and a straight draw. Homer He's got nothing. But he's made a bet. Well, and that's right. If Duke was to call there, he might as well whack it all in because he didn't have enough chips left. And in the end, he did a very powerful play. And
it worked.
Worked perfectly. Madangle's still in good chip shape.
Pair of fives for Bunsky. Hasn't hit, but there's only one overcard.
And Homer's tried again. He's got the 4. So he's got 5 outs, 2 4s and 3 jacks. But the bet was a bigger out, and it knocked Bunsky out. There's 11 players. The average chips is just over 15,000. So therefore, we've got 3 players either on average or above at this table, and Homer, Duke, and Poker for Taffy below average. And Homer on the small blind with 10 queen, he does a flat raise. He makes it 800 with another 800, but it's enough. Madangle says, no, I don't want to fight.
Is Queen Jack a ruler in the unraised pot as well, or is it just King Queen?
It doesn't rule that well, no. The queen is regal, but the Jack isn't. It's just a knave. A robber. A knave, no.
Jack Queens and things like that are really hard hands to play, I find. I never know if to limp them or go for a raise or try and steal, or if I do hit a Jack or a Queen, I'm still not sure if I'm ahead.
Yeah, they're not a great hand, Queen Jack. I mean, they're not particularly good heads up, because anyone with an ace or a king is actually ahead of them.
Look at the wonderful ace-8 though. Doesn't it look good?
Pair of queens. I think we're getting some sort of Freudian slips here from Michelle. I'm not certain.
I like the ladies. I do well with ladies.
I've not been... yes, I like the ladies too.
Yeah, I know you do.
Oh, yes. That reminds me.
What?
No, before I went to Sweden...
Oh, Flirty Liz.
Yeah, you spoke to Flirty Liz,
Liz.
And it was agreed that she was going to send
a picture.
By the time
she hasn't.
By the time I came back. Was that right?
No, yes, she did say
and
that.
I think she was going to send it to... Have you got it?
I haven't had it through. Now, lads in the back, have you had a picture from Flirty Liz?
Well...
They haven't, James.
You shouldn't say things... Oh, look at this, 557. We've got Madangle with American Airlines. We've got Bunsky with a pair of 10s. But look, in the corner, the guy who needs the chips, it's Poker for Taffy. He's got trip 5s. He can't resist it. He puts the rest of his chips in. Oh, my goodness, he's got 4 5s. And Bunsky's gone. So the pair of 10s has gone, and Poker Taffy from nowhere has got himself wham bang right back in this tourney. It's 4 5s against Madangle's aces and a full house, 3 5s and 2 aces, and Poker for Taffy, 20,000 now, I think.
Nice.
What a hand.
We will catch up with that a bit later. Liz, where's your picture? She promised, didn't she, James?
She did promise. I mean,
for those of you that don't know, there's a bit of a rapport between our James and Flirty Liz. But he does need a picture, because if you're a large man, then then it's not going to be quite as nice, is it?
No. It would be a surprise, yes, but
so
no.
Flirty, can you come on, Liz?
Yeah,
Give us in a
play
picture.
the game.
Right, I've got some emails here. One from Tom. Hey, Tom. He says, hey, guys, love the show. Especially glad to see my poker guru, James, on again.
Ooh, thank you, Tom.
After watching Poker Night Live for around a month, I decided to take the plunge into a real money game. I'm playing in a 2-cent, 4-cent cash game. I just wondered what strategy you'd suggest at such a low level, as the play generally seems to take the form of lots of callers with 5 or 6 people in each hand. I'll always raise with a premium hand, but wondered if you'd advocate calling with pretty much anything for 4 cents in case I hit the monster and get paid off, especially considering the number of times I seem to hit after having folded. And now I know what James is going to say here.
All right, well, you could have a crack then. Go on then.
You're going to say that it doesn't matter that it's just 4 cents, and you have to look at all of your chips as being as important as if you were playing for £40. It's relevant to the game, not to how much you can afford.
Yeah, that's good. Well, what about the next bit? What about, can he, what about the rest of it? About, can he start having a look at some hands there? And what?
Yeah, that's a good thing, isn't it, early on, because it teaches you, teaches you how different hands play.
Okay, it's not just that. The clue here is we'll decipher this. And what Tom is telling us here is, he's saying that there's a lot of callers. So that means there's a lot of people limping in. So it means it's a passive game. Limp, 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 limp. So therefore, what I would say is, when you have position, late position, yes, limp in with quite a few peculiar hands, if you like. The reason why I say in late position is because now when you limp in, it's less likely anyone's going to suddenly raise it up, because you're going to have to pass this weak sort of hand. So you don't want to be leaving money behind without seeing a card, because that's no good. So if you think it's a passive table, yes, you can call with your suited connectors, funny, obviously small pairs, etc., looking to connect big style and get paid off. But if as soon as they start to charge you for limping with substandard hands, stop doing it, because you can't throw money away. But yes, the game you described, yes, you can do it, but don't be doing it in early position still. Do it in late position. The reason why, these funny hands, it's nice then, after the flop, to see what action has taken place before you. Whether you've hit it good or not, it'll help having the position. So still I'd restrict yourself to basically having position still.
Thanks, James. We've got an email from Sarah. She says, "Hi guys, I would like to thank the guys at Poker Night Live for their excellent advice over the last few weeks. The first tournament I played in this week, my full house got beat by Royal Flush.
Wow, that's cruel.
But my second tournament, I came fourth out of 1,595 people.
That is fantastic.
Wow, well done.
Well done, Sarah.
However, what is your advice when you begin to get down to 4 players? The antes and the blinds forced me into an all-in with a king rag. Where can I experience four-handed?
Where can I get experience with four-handed? I'll tell you where you can get experience. You can go onto some of the sites and you can play some short-handed sit-and-goes. In fact, you can go to, I know a site there where you can go there and you can go to a 5-handed sit-and-go. So you can play some of those 5-handed sit-and-goes, play it just for small money, and now you're going to really get good experience playing short-handed. Next thing I suggest, on some of the sites you can play heads-up tournaments. Again, play for short stakes, but get some practice playing heads-up. And there'll be quite a bit of play there, and you'll now, what it'll do is, enjoy it, it'll be great fun, you'll realise what a battle it is, you'll realise you can see a lot more hands, and you'll get the flavour of it. But again, the key thing in the short-handed games and in the heads-up is be more prepared to play when you have position. Position is still very, very strong. Position, position, position. So that can be your determining factor. If you've got position, you can have a look at the flop heads up with lesser hands, because then you're going to get the clue what your opponent's going to do before you act. And remember, heads up, or your opponent against one opponent, they're big favourite not to have connected with their flop. So having position, heads up, is massive, because if they show weakness, you might be able to just take it down.
Lovely, thanks James. Do remember, if you have any questions, you can text them into us. The text number is 84222. And do remember to put the word poker first.
Yeah.
And then
and
your
don't forget, if you've got a photograph which you've forgotten to send in,
Liz, do it by email,
Yeah,
which is poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Lovely. Well, I'm really pleased to announce that we've got Beat the Presenter after the break.
oh great, we're looking forward to, who's on it tonight, Michelle?
Me.
All right, did you manage to stop turning the computer off?
Which we're going to be watching in approximately 7 minutes. So I'm really pleased about that. James and I will see you shortly. Welcome back to Poker Night Live with James Browning, 007, Michelle Orpe, night nurse. We could go on all night. Have you got another one? You're also known as...
Oh, me? Oh, I'm known as too many things. It's terrible.
You are, haven't you? You've got loads. Right, well, before the break, James did a wonderful job of commentating, and I played in Beat the Presenter, which was very joyous. And we do actually have an email from Eltwig, who was one of our viewers.
All right,
watching.
Eltwig.
She says, just a quick message to say a whopping 62 people were watching the Beat the Presenter Sit and Go tournament live at the table.
Wow.
And that lads were all laughing, saying, typical blonde Michelle, while she got disconnected by tapping the off button with her shoe. Thanks. James, how far do your impressions span? Can you do any Simpsons, Flintstones characters?
Barney, do you want to go bowling? Want to go bowling, Fred? I sure do. Barney Rubble's name, Fred. Route 222. I'm with you, Fred.
That's well done. Oh, it's brilliant. I could get him doing it all night. I really could. There you go, Eltwig. What do you think of that?
And I didn't know you were going to do that, did I?
No, he didn't.
Swear.
He used to do it for a living, ladies and gentlemen. Email from Tony. He says, hi guys, great show as always. I do have a problem with my game. Can you help? When I'm playing, I can't actually read the rest of that email out.
When I'm playing, I turn this show on and Michelle is always looking real hot.
Thanks guys in the back.
Can you help please? Thanks. Well listen, what do you think it's like for me having to work here when she looks so hot? She sets my heart
Oh
aflutter.
dear, it's one of those.
You do look good tonight though, Mish. I do, honestly.
Stop
I
it.
think tonight she looks extra hot. What do you reckon?
I've got the hump tonight as well now.
You've got the hump.
Right, look.
You haven't got the hump with
Should we
me,
do-
have you?
No, not with you. I can
Oh,
never
that's
have
all
a
right.
hump with you, James.
Okay.
What should we do the contact details? Do you have
We want to
anything
do your
say?
tournament. What are you delaying for?
I'm trying to delay as long as I can. Right, there you go. You can text the word poker and your question to 84222, or you can email poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And actually, thank you, Tony, for your lovely email. Right, so we're going to go to my Beat the Presenter
Beat the
tournament.
Presenter
Can I
time.
just say that when I...
Oh,
Right.
no.
I won't. We'll just go and watch the tournament, fine. Why not
Let's
leave
watch. Let us watch, Michelle. And there's Michelle.
To be fair, I did have like a huge... Look at this. 10
Never
against
mind, to be
aces.
fair, let's watch the game. Chip nuts in seat 1 with a pair of 10s. Robo Squirrel
Right.
raises 5 times the big blind.
I should have folded because I should have been the raiser.
Let's watch it, we'll see what happens. And now, Chip Nurse decides to call in the small blind.
So I haven't even got a position.
So you're out of position. Oh, well, that's... you've got a club there, but there's an ace on the flop, so this probably gives you an excuse to get away.
So I thought I'd
from
have a pang at it.
Okay, so you've had a pang at it. You've asked a question, a small question. I don't know what that 80 did, really.
Oh, I don't know what anything
But it was a little question. You've been re-raised, and let's see what you do.
I went all in. I didn't really. Folded.
Okay, and you've passed. Listen,
I really,
The good-
actually, I really
No.
didn't know what to do with the 10s there, to be honest.
oh,
Please
look,
a lot.
you've got aces there. No, but listen, the thing is there, you've asked a question at the end there, you got the answer, and you passed it. So that's better than a lot of people would have done anyway.
Should I be calling there, though, or should I put it down? Because 100
It's-
is a tenth of my stack.
Right, just a sec, let's watch this one. You've raised to 60 here with the aces. And I like that, actually, because you're likely to get some opposition. And because you've
That's
lost
what I
some
was
chips
hoping.
there, you need to get back in the game. Now, I hope you don't muck around. You've underbet it, though.
Well, I was kind of
little-
wasn't sure whether I wanted to call or not, to be honest.
Okay, but a little
never
bit of
am
a
with
little bit of an
aces.
underbet there with 80. I think it merited a slightly bigger bet than that. That just.
You know why, though? Because you've only got 1,000, it suddenly seems that you start putting in a lot of your stack.
But if you put
It's
the
weird.
80 there, what's a person calling with? You don't know really because you haven't really. If you make it too cheap, there could suddenly go along the hand which you're not quite sure whether you are with.
Because last time I played, I was making it too expensive.
No,
need to
I
get
mean
middle
I'm not saying a
ground.
lot more, but I'm saying at least you probably should needed to go half the pot,
Half the pot.
or maybe a tad more. But that 80 doesn't. If you don't put a bet which is really mean anything,
It's one of
you're
those
not getting
bets-
so much. You're not really asking a very positive
And it's
question.
one of those bets where I'm not quite sure whether I want to call or not, because I'm thinking I'm ahead. So I'm like, but I don't want to give him another free card.
No.
But don't mind a call. And I always get a bit, so I don't want to put in too much and scare him off, because I almost don't mind a call. It's very, do you know what I mean? But I should definitely always just bet more.
Well, on that situation, you've got position there. I think you just want to close the deal there now. You don't know whether he's on a flush draw. You'll be frightened if a spade comes. You won't like it. If you pushed all in a spade come, you might have to put it down. You wouldn't like it. So therefore, I think you should make a good effort just to get rid of him there, I think.
Okay.
But not a massive bet, but just a bit more than 80. On the other one with your 10s, your problem there was when you call in the small blind with the 10s, you've got to say what happens next. You've got to presume that you'll miss your flop. If you miss your flop, is it likely there's going to be either an ace, king, queen or jack out there? So you're not going to like any of those.
No.
So
I really thought about it for ages. I thought, oh, I wanted to raise with it. And now I don't know what to do.
I think because you didn't know where you were, you could have just put it down.
Yeah. So anyway, I've got the hump now.
Okay, but still, you played the next hand fine, and I like the size of the raise you did with the aces, and now you're back in the game. You've got 900, and you didn't over-panic with the aces, though, with the pre-flop raise. I like that, because you wanted to have, like, one opponent, and that's what you got, so you did that well. So no problems there. And listen, you put the 10s down. Listen, there's a lot of players wouldn't put it down, so you're already a level ahead. That's good. You popped in the little bet. I don't think...
I always got tempted with the flush draw. Which is stupid, because I only had a 10 of clubs.
Yeah. No, I think the very fact that you're able to put a hand down is a good sign. So we've got top pair for Frantic. He's bet 80 into a pot of
like
70.
He's taken a lot of Hoofy stack.
Right, poor old Hoofy's there, decimated, only got 50. And Chip Nurse has got a good, reasonable hand there, but a bit early-ish position, so we'll see what she does here. And makes it 4 times the big blind.
That's my usual raise at home, but I do start with 1500. So
right.
I should maybe make it 60 instead.
Hoofy now, he's just all in, and you're hoping that everyone else passes, and it's just a battle against Hoofy. But the
this is the
Queen
one.
2's now called, and it's 9-10 Jack Queen for Wizard. But now Wizard here is checked, and you've got the top pair.
Yeah,
So
top kicker.
I think you've got a bet here. You've bet 100 into a pot of 220. So
I tried to do half a pot.
slight-
I wasn't sure if it was right or not.
would you? Right. Basically, it's a possible draw hand there. I think you had to pressurise Wizard out of it, really.
So now he's got it straight.
Yeah, and he's checked, but you didn't fall for that.
Well, I put him on something now.
And now you just realise if he's got a king, if he's got a queen, he's got the straight.
Yeah. No, oh my God, no, I didn't. I called.
160's bet. And you've called with the jack.
See, look, the pressure. It's too much. Can't play with you. I'd
Right,
never usually
the thing
call that.
is-
I'd never ever usually
You see,
call
the
that
thing
bet.
is-
I don't know why I did.
Yeah, you see, it's a dangerous flop. Plus, you've got Hoofy, who's decided to go all in anyway. So you're not going to be winning all the money necessary, because Hoofy might have connected with this flop as well. So therefore...
But you only put 50 in.
No, that's right, yeah. But I'm just saying, but it's not all the money. You mightn't even get all the money with your jack anyway.
I don't know why I didn't believe Wizards. I actually thought when I called that I was ahead with kings and jacks.
Right.
For some reason, I didn't
But
believe
he didn't
had the
bet
straight.
so much. He found the right price. He found the price you were prepared to pay. So full marks to
But
him.
then thinking about it, it's still a lot looking at the blinds. I
Well,
should
in
never have
relation
called
to
that. It
your,
was terrible
in
play.
relation to your, basically the point is, in relation to how many chips you've got is the problem, because money is relevant to your own wealth. Well, you weren't that wealthy, so that money was quite a good percentage of your stack. Could that money be used better by you later betting, rather than calling where you're not quite really thinking about where you are? Just a comment. Right, Max Power has got trips. And we'll ask the question why, because he was on the small blind, and we'll see that there was no raise, no pre-flop raise.
Well, I bet because he checked.
He checked, you thought it
So
was
I
weakness,
thought I'd bet.
but that's fair enough. I don't mind that, because you think he didn't have an ace, which is because it was no raise before the blind. So you thought he didn't have an ace, and you thought, well, he's unlikely to have a 3. Now, You should check. And you've checked that last time. Very good. Very good. Now it's difficult for you. He's actually got a full house. But is he worried about you having an ace? He doesn't like the ace much. He's bet 120. And you're obviously going to lose if he's got a 3, an ace, or an 8.
Yeah, it was too scary, that board.
So
to
if he's connected with any of that, he's bet 120 into... Well, very good.
It's too scary with the pairs on the board.
Well, you read that perfectly. I mean, that's I can't really fault you. I think that's excellent.
Again, I did try a stab at the bet again, even though I was the middle player.
No, but you didn't follow it up on the turn with a bet, which is very good, because you've tried your bet, which is fine, to find out where you are. He's called it. You go, oh, my goodness, what's going on here? I mean, that's excellent to get away from that. A lot of people would have just died there.
Because I'm annoyed here, I think
Why are you annoyed? You just played well. You shouldn't be annoyed when you play well.
Because I'm annoyed because I haven't got many chips left, I think I called to limp in and try and catch something.
OK, well, we'll see what happens. King 3. Max Power. Does he raise it up here? No, he just calls.
So
well, fair enough. Yeah, just call. Nothing wrong with that.
It's only 10 chips. I thought I might as well have a look and try and catch something.
Nothing wrong with that. You might catch something. It's only 10. That's great.
Hoping that Hoik checks.
Perfect play.
Yay,
Perfect play.
I got a Queen 8.
Perfect play. And now you've got Queen 8. There's a flush draw out there.
Well, yeah, because I see the 2 spades, I'm thinking...
No, it's a good time to bet, because they might be on a draw.
So again, it was a little. It was one of them little. Not sure. I actually do want to be called. So
No,
I'm
you bet
it
wasn't a little bet. It wasn't. You bet the pot. You bet the pot size. It wasn't a little bet. You bet pot size.
So he raised me.
You did it right.
And I went all in.
Yes, correct. He's got a top pair, and he's got a bigger kicker, but you've got 2 pair. He's got a bit of a backdoor straight, but he decides to call you. Nothing, no danger. You don't want to see a 10. There isn't a 10, and Chip Nurse is back in the game.
And Hoik Balls had just offered me some of his chips as well the go before, so I was saying thanks very much. That was very lovely of you, Hoik.
Hoik, who's from Wallsend. My neck of the woods, sort of somewhere near by.
So at least I'm back up to 1,000.
Yeah, well, I like that. You saw value for the 10 with the Queen 8. We saw a mistake by Max Power, who probably should have, with his pair of 7s, put in a little raise.
Especially on the button.
Which would have got rid of your Queen 8 anyway. He'd have probably lost to the other guy anyway, who might have called with his Queen 10, but not necessarily. Anyway, Max Power's got a pair of aces here. Look at this, it's jacks against aces. Poor old Hoik here, a lot of trouble. No one's got any clubs. 6, 6, 9, 10. Oh, and housey for Max Power. 3 aces, 2 6s, full house. Aces over 6s. And we've lost a player. We have 6 left. There we have Hoik. The amount of chips he had, it was difficult for him. He ran into another big pair. Hoik liked the flop because 9, 6, 6. He didn't think his opponent would have a 6. He was right. But unfortunately, his opponent had American Airlines, which is not the hand the pair of jacks wants to see.
No. It's horrible, isn't it, when you've got a highish pair and you run into a bigger pair?
Yeah, it is. Nasty business.
Ooh, bet 10-6.
Oh, I like his name, When to Hold 'em. You gotta know when to hold 'em.
And an odd call from Wizard, don't you think? Like with the 4,
Very
3, 8.
odd. I think he's just calling to try and steal. He didn't do that either. Now it's really weird. Well, I think it's. I'm going to have to call him the Wizard of Odd, because it's a very odd play.
Very odd.
And when to hold them. Yeah, it's very odd, very odd. What's going on? I just don't understand it.
Oh, look, ace 8, I put it down. The thing is, in that position, sometimes you think, there's only one person behind me before the blind, so I could try a steal.
I missed that. What did you have?
I had ace 8, I put it down. As it turns out, I would have hit an ace and been ahead. But I'm never quite sure because I'm
No, but you've got
early
you're
position.
middle
To
position.
mid
You're middle.
position,
You're
yeah.
middle, sort of more or less there. In this, when there's only 6 players.
So should I be maybe trying to make a
No,
move
I think
with
you were
that?
okay because the blinds are only 20-40. You don't. No, I think that's fine. Just to leave it
Excellent.
and
Got the mark banning.
dump that one.
I should be raising it up, but you know, I can't do it.
No, I think you're right to dump it. Early position, 7-8, a liability. Wizard makes up the small blind, and there we have the 7-8 would have hit a 7, but of course Frantic's hit an ace and a 7.
And a 7.
Not good news for the 7-8. Frantic, there's 120 in the pot. He bets 120, pot size bet. And let's be watching the size that people bet, Michelle. Let's have a look at the bets in relation to the size of the pots.
So Frantic takes it down. Jack 4 on the big blind.
Robo, 5-2. Chip Nurse, very disappointed with that hand in the big blind, I would imagine.
Yes, very much so.
Went to Hold'em in the cut-off position, makes it 120, does a classical raise size with 10-9. And maybe tempted because Mish is on the big blind, thinking he'll get her to put down a few hands. Maybe he's targeted you there. We'll keep an eye on this.
King, look.
King, Queen.
What's it in it? The leader of the unraised pot. The ruler of the unraised pot.
King, Queen rules
which
in
is
the land of the unraised
unraised
pot.
which is why I didn't raise it. Is that correct?
Right. Well, no, but it's not been raised, so you now know it's a more powerful hand.
So should I have raised?
Well, no, that's fine, because
Okay.
now you know if you hit your king or queen there, you know you're in good shape. Because there'd been all the people that passed round to you, you could have actually raised it in this game.
Okay.
Because it's only the big blind you'd be fighting it against. So basically, it's an unraised pot bar the big blind.
Bar the big blind, so I
could
could have
it would have been
raised it.
You could have been aggressive with it if you wanted, but there was nothing wrong with the way you played it, because if you hit your king or the queen, you'd have been huge favourite to be, and we could see you would have been in good shape. And in a way,
Yeah.
your play would have been disguised.
And how weird that it's in my head every time I get queen queen. So ooh, all in the unraised pot.
Yeah, well, that's it, because these little guidelines are what's going to help us. And these are the reasons, these little demons down here, why? Because these ace-kings, they raise it up, don't they?
Yeah.
That's why king-queens don't like it, because they could be walking into one of these.
Both missed. Let's see if one can push the
No
other off.
surprise, they both missed, of course, because there's less cards for them to hit, because they both own each other's cards. And no one has a flush draw. Earlier on, we saw the ace-queen against ace-queen, where the ace-queen suited. One, but there's... they'd have needed 4 of a kind to get a flush here, and it was a rainbow flop.
It was about around this time that I turned my computer off.
Oh, right. We'll see what happened now then. Max power, and oh, Chip Nurse is gone. I don't know if that was the shoe moment or not.
But I think it was because I had 920. So I think at this point I was panicking because I'd turned my computer off with my shoe.
Mm.
And it's not a blonde moment. It was just I accidentally kicked it. And then panicked for about 5 minutes and then got it back on again.
Were you trying to boot the computer?
I don't know what I was doing. You know when you're just bopping your leg?
All right, you were bopping. Queen 5-7-6, pair of 5s for when to hold 'em. Well, we'll see if Michelle is...
Or if I had kings and it folded, then we'd
No,
know.
you're still there, I think, because you've passed that.
Yeah, but
that wasn't a dwell-up.
Yeah, but that's
No.
because if it says I'm away, it'll fold me automatically, won't it?
Oh, that didn't look to be quite automatic. It looked like, well, we'll see. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, look, I would have hit a 5.
King, Queen. No, King 9, rather. King, Queen on the flop. King 9 for Wizard. Top pair and a flush draw. Very powerful. Robo's got nothing. Wizard is checked with strength, and he's going to come back over the top here. He's trapped him. Yep, he likes his hand.
Ooh, look, Robo's hit a 7.
Robo's hit a 7, but I don't think Robo will fall in love with that. Is Wizard going to check again, or is he betting? No, he's checked again. He says, go on, have another bet. Go on. I'll set myself all in. He doesn't fall for it. Oh, but look at this.
Two pair.
Unbelievable.
Oh dear.
Wizard was perhaps a bit too tricky for his own good. He's actually walked into trouble. And Robo can't believe his luck. How on earth can I have got myself... And now he bets a mini little bet. Probably trying to... I don't know what he's trying to do.
Robo's trying to
slow
work
him
out
down.
how much he can get off him.
But he couldn't have liked his hand so much now anyway. The strength of his hand, and there we are, Robo's sure that he's winning, and he calls it. So Wizard was just too tricky. This was too tricky in a tournament where you've only got one life.
Yeah.
On that turn there, he'd done the trap check on the flop. Fine, that was good play. When he did it, he'd hit the flop with a flush draw. But he's got king nine with a low kicker anyway. The power of his hand is he's got the flush draw as well. So when the turn comes, he should have just bet it and just got rid of the guy. Because it's a tournament with only one life. He'd have been in great shape now, and instead of that, he's fattened Robo up and depleted his own stack and his chances. So in a money game, maybe if you want to be a bit extra tricky or whatever, because you can risk your life, but not here. I think that was actually a tournament error.
Ah, there you have it, Wizard.
That's not just because he hit two pair, it's just because we don't know what he had. You didn't know what he had. Okay, he was extra lucky with 7-2, but we don't know what he had.
He could have had a better king.
He could have had a better king, but your very powerful bet with the flush draw could have actually frightened the king, I don't know if the 10 connected, but king 10 away or something, which had you out-kicked. So he didn't quite find the right play. Frantic's just called. And it's a raise from Max Power, called by Frantic.
Well, sevens are still good.
But does he know? He quite likes a pair of fours, doesn't believe a four's out there, and he's read it well. Yes, well played, Frantic. He said, I'm only really playing against a possible 10 here, and I think you might even have bigger cards than that. So this is a good flop for me with my pair. I'm betting away, and he bet away.
So now I've got 880. And I'm losing, nearly.
And
But there's plenty of time left yet.
it's round to your big blind. You just check that. Very disappointing flop for a 2-4.
It's not very good, is it?
No.
Great for Wizard, but not really that great because he's not going to get paid.
Two pairs of Wizard, bet 600. Chip Nurse says no thanks. So you hadn't been disconnected now?
No, I'm back now. I remember coming back on that with the 7-8 just under the gun.
I thought you came back with 520.
No, I come back with 920.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yep. I got a 5-2 and he's raised.
I'm not certain.
No, definitely, James. So I remember saying I've got 920
Oh, really?
chips.
Okay.
And being really surprised that I had that when I come back, so I thought I'd lost a lot more.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought it'd been ages. My problem is now I can't really afford to go for a steal.
Wizard just calls. Now the blinds are 40-80, so each round's costing you 120, 5, 7. You're still not panicky yet, so it might be...
But have I got enough money to go for a steal with a mediocre hand?
Against those people there, you'd have just had to have really pushed.
I mean, I didn't know because someone had come in anyway, but if they hadn't come in...
If they limp in, that's not terrible, because that isn't... Generally, that's not going to be a sign of a very strong hand. He's more likely to have a small pair or something, which mightn't withstand a big raise.
It's
but no, I think it
was
still a bit premature. I think he could still find a better. He's still got time to find a hand. So that was all right. I think the hand wasn't that great anyway. If he did get called, so no, I think that was fine.
Frantic straight.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But Frantic has got the biggest straight. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7. I see some money
Wizard
going in
is
here.
on the idiot end of the straight.
Can see it all going in. Ooh, just cool. Jacks have raised it up.
Listen, Some tragic news is that there's a whisper going around that Madonna is going to retire after a last world tour with a final New York City concert.
No.
Yeah.
James,
she's going to retire before her 50th birthday.
50?
Yeah, she's not 50
Is she really
yet.
that old?
Before her 50th birthday. She's going to retire on 14th of August 2008 at the New York City.
So
that's the rumour. It's not definite.
So is she older or younger than you, James? I'm joking. We all know you're 33.
It's not how old you are, it's how old you feel.
How old do you feel?
I
really...
Chip
Thank
Nurse,
God I
ace
didn't do
5.
anything, but I really thought about it. I was like...
What were you going to do?
I don't know. That's what I thought. I thought about doing something. I thought, but then what exactly am I going to do? I'm in bad position. I'm
What
under
could
the
you do?
gun. All I can do is raise and make a stand and try and push everyone off, which isn't going to happen because there's so many people behind me. So I thought, the right thing to do is fold, surely.
Yeah, okay, yes, I think you're right. It's still not... You decided before that the blinds are still 48, you're still not in that quite panic level yet.
Panicky position.
And when you make the move from early on, sometimes we haven't got enough chips, we've got to make a move from early position.
But while you've got them left, you might as well wait.
But when you've still got a bit of time left, and you've still got 5 opponents there, it's harder for you to get them all to pass.
And this is something I've been thinking about more so recently when you were saying about it before, so it's something that's really stuck in my head. You're trying to make thinking, why do I want to put in a raise here when I've got all these people I need to fold?
Yeah, you can play situations. You look for situations, you look for clues from the situations. We look at the pre-flop folds, we've got Robo Squirrel and When to Hold'em 76% pre-flop folds, Chip Nurse 72%. Other people frantic, playing quite loose. Back to the game.
Chippy Nursey.
Oh, we missed that.
I made a wonderful move there on the big blind and pushed everybody off.
Did you?
No, everyone folded.
Oh, everyone
to me.
folded. That was a nice prezi, wasn't it? Oh, and the blinds have gone up to 4. No, same blinds. No, so, oh yes, so that's right. So you just you got a prezi. That's a walk. What
Yes,
a nice time to get a walk.
I don't remember that. I must have been talking to you. Because I wasn't talking to the people in the chat box.
No, I noticed the typing stopped, which was...
I realised I needed to really
Concentrate.
try and do something wonderful.
Okay, and no one's connected here. So, let's have a look. We see that Max Power here has got an up and down straight and an ace. Now, the window's open for him to make a bet here. We've had... Yes, and he's done it. Very good. He saw the window of opportunity and he pushed his chips right into it. So that was good play. And he had a semi-bluff, a classic semi-bluff. He had a straight, 8, 9, 10 jack, up and down straight. If he'd walked into something, he thinks there is an escape route for him. That's a semi-bluff part of it. But as it happens, he had the biggest hand anyway with an ace. That was a bonus. Chip Nurse here.
Oh, so look at me trying to steal the blinds
Right,
with
so
an
Chip
ace
Nurse,
5.
she's got ace 5, and I can see why you've done this. You've put 3 times the big blind in.
But this is why I asked the question.
Listen, against the blinds, and right, I think you've left yourself just enough that you can get away from this.
I wasn't sure whether I should be trying to steal or not, but I figured with an ace and the blind starting to go up, I should be trying to do something. I was hoping, and obviously, unfortunately, I ran into ace queen.
Well, and you've got away from it. I mean, that's very, very good. But now you're under pressure. So now we should be looking to see what you do now. And now your next move should be very aggressive. And under the gun is called Wizard. It's called with ace 10 and Jack Jack 3. No connection for anyone again.
So only the 7s from Frantic, but he's not going to be happiest bunny in the world with the 7.
Well, he would be if he could see his opponent's cards, of course.
Yep.
And he's seen weakness from his opponents. There's 280 in the middle. And he puts a bet in, and I think quite correctly. He has every reason to believe that 7's okay. He thinks he doesn't think anyone's got a jack. He knows you'll hear from them if they have. And there you go. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known where he was, and he would have hated lots of overcards to a 7 if he let it go by without charging them. So
I didn't
good
know what
play.
to do with the jack queen.
Chip nurse, 600. If you're going to play, it's either all in or pass.
Oh, then I made the wrong choice.
There's only 2 options here: all in or pass. Nothing else.
I really didn't want to go all in with Queen Jack though, and I didn't want to pass
And
either, so I didn't know what to do.
And that's a horrible play, because you've got away with it. You've got away with it. Well, you haven't got enough chips to be limping.
Yeah, I kind of knew that.
You haven't got enough chips to be limping.
Sometimes I get a feeling, and my feeling was, don't go
Okay,
in.
well now you've got a great shot now.
So I was supposed to go all in,
Yes.
and it got funny with the slider, and it didn't quite go all in, I don't think. So it looks even more stupid, but it really was just a mistake.
You're going to play that. No, you should have pushed all in there.
I swear, I really meant to go all in there.
Okay.
I truly and honestly meant to go
Yes,
all
it
in.
definitely should have been an all-in bet. You don't want to give them any sort of. You don't know what they've got there, but you just want to get rid of them. Yep.
I mean, it didn't matter in
That's
the end.
fine.
But
I don't think you had enough chips to limp, because you're going to put it down if someone raises, and you can't afford, with that few chips, to be limping. Limping's out the window there now.
yeah, and I know that.
Okay.
I do.
And
But do you know what? Usually I would, but I'm thinking, oh, but what if I shouldn't go all in with Queen Jack and James has a go at me, so I'll just limp.
You see, you can limp if you've got more chips. You need a lot of chips to afford to limp.
Yeah.
Or you need a lot of big blinds. Therefore, we can limp early stages in the tournaments when we've got lots of big blinds.
Yeah.
But as your you only had 500 or something.
Yeah.
And so, you only had 6 big blinds. You can't sorry, no, less than but big blinds. You had less. Sorry, you only had. Goodness, yeah, you only had 3 big blinds.
It's your fault.
So you
you
can't
make me do
afford to give
stupid
half a big
things.
blind.
So I've got a 2-7. Had a little think about going all in and decided not to.
That's all right. Well, now we're in trouble again, because it's now 81.60. So it's 240. What did you have there?
Something like a 10-2 or something
Okay.
rubbish.
Well, your next time, your next move should basically be all in now, whatever you do. When you play, it should be all in. Because you've got 680, it's not a lot, but it's still a little whisker of a chance to get someone to put stuff down. And
So I've got
8-8, there we go. And that's fine. All in button it should be. What happens?
Da-da-da-da.
And there's a bit of a
What am
delay
I
going
doing?
on
I
here.
think I may be reading in the chat box. All in.
All in. Well done. Good play. Good play from Chip Nurse. Frantic. He can't. Oh, he's caught with a pair of 2s.
Called with a pair of 2s.
Wow, that's a weird. I don't like that very much. He has got a lot of chips, to give him credit, though. Sorry, Frantic. I do notice you're well chipped up. You do think you could have anything.
So look,
okay.
I've got an 8.
Oh, you've hit the 8.
God
Brilliant.
flaps. Oh, but no 2.
No.
How can that happen?
Oh, that is cruel.
Oh, that's just not fair. But it's my own fault. For
Well, what do you
playing
think of that,
badly.
Michelle? Can you give us a comment?
Oh, pants.
Well,
Stupid
listen,
game.
nothing wrong there.
I did loads wrong, James.
No, in
I
this
was
last
under
hand,
pressure.
nothing wrong at all. You pushed in, all in with the ace-8, and that was perfect. Frantic, okay, he did have a lot of chips, and that's why he decided, he knew you were desperate. He thought you'd have just done it with 2 big cards, and he thought his pair was a small favourite, and he might just put you out. So you did have enough chips probably just to try it. Dodgy call still, because you'd have done the same thing with the pair as well.
Yeah.
As a package, I don't think it's a great call by Frantic. Slightly excused because he...
Frantic.
Frankly excused, partly excused because he had a lot of chips, but that would...
So yeah, I'm really pleased with that anyway. Played great, won the tournament, it was brilliant. That's what I'm going to think for just the rest of the
Listen,
night.
you didn't... I thought you did some good things in the tournament.
Yeah, but last time I played I did everything right.
Yeah, but you, listen...
And you weren't here.
I know, but you'll win it when I'm here another time. No, I like some of the stuff. I think your capability of putting hands down is good.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of new players can't do. And to be a good player in No Limit Hold'em, you have to be able to put a hand down. And you are capable of doing that. So that's a plus point. And that will be one of the things which will help you to be a winner.
A winner.
Is the capability of putting a hand down. Yeah. So, let's have a look at this. Robo Squirrel, King 4 and
King 9.
King 9, a dog of a hand, but not a dog of a hand this time as it takes the dosh.
So there's 2
and
left.
We're heads up now. It's max power against the guy who killed Mish, Frantic. Harrison Ford in Frantic. Ace 9, Frantic. Calls with 6-8. Oh, look at that. 6, 7, 8, 9. Straight and flush draw. And there it is. Frantic. Pinging cards there. Makes a straight. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have a winner. And the winner against max power is Frantic. Good game. Enjoyed it.
Look where players fold.
And when do players fold? Robo Squirrel, hands dealt 35. Pre-flop, 82.
Chipner.
70%. When to hold them, 77. So, Robo the tightest player. Frantic, the loosest player there tonight. And he got all the chips. And
He did.
I suppose that tournament was over quite quickly. Michelle, don't beat yourself up. I think overall you didn't play too badly at all. I think you could have played a little bit better.
But I do. It's because I'm trying to impress you too much.
I think you could have played a little bit better, but overall I thought you played well.
Thank you, James.
But you could have played a little bit better. Tell me what, no, we've got to just go back to the... No, very quickly.
Right,
Okay, all I'm going to ask is give me 2 things from the tournament where you think you could have played them differently. It doesn't have to be in any order or order of strength.
Right, well, I should have gone all in with the Queen Jack rather than limping.
Right, and should you have gone all in then anyway or not?
I don't know.
But if you're going to play it, you might as well have pushed all in.
Yeah.
Because
but I think at home I probably wouldn't have bothered with the Queen Jack.
Okay, so you should, but basically you should have, I know you ended up winning some money on it, but that was more by good fortune that they limped in.
And I wouldn't have called the 10s.
Okay.
No, I would have at home because I had more chips to start with. So for 100
No,
I would,
in this
but...
game, never mind, no, talk about the same game. So right, first of all, the Queen Jack. So either there, I think you could have either
played it or gone all in.
Yeah, I think so because you were now down in chips. Yeah,
Slap
you couldn't afford. You couldn't afford. You couldn't afford to limp.
No.
Didn't have enough chips to limp.
No,
okay,
didn't
that
have
was the
enough
point
chips to
there.
limp.
And the other one, the 10s,
The 10s.
early doors.
And there was something else. Oh, when I accidentally didn't go all in, I only bet 240, but that was an accident.
Yes, that obviously should have been. You didn't want to give anyone
Confused with the
yeah,
slider
so you
button.
should have
It's
just pushed
terrible.
it there. And what about switching the computer off with your foot?
Next time I won't turn the computer off halfway through a game.
All right then. Overall, you did well.
We've got some emails. Oh. Email from Hoik Balls. Hi Hoik, he was sitting to my left. He always is. He says, hi Michelle and James, Hoik Balls here. No questions tonight, just wanted to say this has been one of the funniest shows for ages. Very entertaining, even more than Fight Night
Oh
with
my
Mark and
goodness.
James. So much so I might cancel my satellite subscription and just watch PNL. Well, you should because it would help you poker. Keep it up, guys. Let's not comment on my unceremonious exit from the Beat the Presenter tournament tonight. I did promise Michelle I would donate her some of my chips. I'll leave it to you to decide if she spent them wisely. Spent them very wisely on an ace-8. Got beat by a pair of 2s. Commie Carl has also texted in saying, loving the show. You are mad as a hatter tonight, both of you. Thank you, Commie Carl, for that email. An email from Cavian. Hello, Cavian. Says, I've got a great question, and it's mentioned in Doyle Brunson's Super System book. If you have pocket aces and you are short stacked, and 2 people go all in, and you're 1 away from the money, so if you call and you lose, you won't make the cash, what do you do? James.
So you have pocket aces and you're short stacked, and 2 people go all in, and you are 1 away from the money. So if you call and you lose, you won't make the cash. What would you do?
No,
Well, it depends, first of all, what is this money? If you're in a tournament and there's 10 prizes and 10th prize is not very significant, well, it's no question. You still actually still play the aces, because the aces, although it's still going to be favourite. It's not going to be necessarily a big favourite to win the hand, but it's still going to be favoured against any other two hands. And so in that case, you will triple up and your overall equity will rise. So therefore, it's not always about just actually getting a prize. It's about how much money you're going to make and what your equity is by a certain play. So basically, it's rare to find situations where it would be correct to pass aces three-handed. The one example where it is different, and it's a better example than when you're using one for prize money, is where it's a satellite. And if you're in a super satellite, where say there are 10 seats for the World Series, and there are 20 people left, or 15 people left, or 12 people left, you could find a situation there where if you're so far ahead in chips, it would be correct just to let two other people fight and probably knock someone out and pass your aces. And that would be in a super satellite. But in the money tournament, I think it would be correct to play.
Yeah, because you want to try and win
Because
more.
if you win it, you'll triple up, and you can now advance further. You might, instead of ending up sneaking into the money, you might actually carry on to win the tournament. Yes.
We have an email from Gullo, who's the guy who laid down the tens in the multi-table tournament.
Yes, I remember Gullo.
Yeah. He says, you hit the nail on the head, James. I was scared of overpairs. We had been at the table for quite some time and he had shown down some big hands. This was a very hard fold, as tens are one of my favourite hands. Wish I had called after that ace, queen. Not my night. Keep up the good show, though.
Yeah, the thing is, it's no big deal against ace, queen. And the thing is, we've got to look at your decisions over the long run. And over the long run, as I said before, we'll recap this. He put a pair of tens down. We could see, if you could see the cards, he'd have called it. But he could have been against a pair of jacks, a pair of queens, a pair of kings, a pair of aces, or he could have been against overcards, ace, king, ace, queen, king, queen, etc., etc., etc. So there's quite a lot of cards out there. No, it was against a pair of sixes, wasn't it? Sorry, it was against a pair of sixes, this one he passed to. But the one bit of the equation we didn't know was the guy who put the raise in. I remember he made the raise with a pair of sixes, wasn't it, Gullo? That's what you passed to. But is that guy capable of raising with lesser hands? If you've got history on the guy, if you know that he's a mover and a groover, if you know he's capable of making this bet with a lot of hands, then the tens becomes clearly a call, because you throw those funny hands into the equation. So if he does it with any pair, you're 4 to 1 on in that situation, so you're 80%. So now you average out all the situations. In that case, you find that the tens would have been a call. But that is with knowledge of your opponent. If you're against a very solid player, well, then the pass becomes easier, because you say, well, he would only play with those top hands. This is not a good bargain for me. So that's the way. You've got to assess the situation and assess the player you're playing against.
James, I have a very important question for you.
Come on.
If you could have, like, one poker magic thing that you could do,
right.
would you be able to see everybody's whole cards, or would you want to be able to see what the board would be?
If I could see...
If you could see, like, had one magic thing,
yes.
would you rather be able to see what everybody's hold cards
yes.
were, or would you rather be able to see what the whole board is going to be for that hand?
I want to see what everyone's hold cards are.
Come on. That's what I said.
And then I'd know exactly where I was.
Yeah.
It's no good. I mean, unless I know I'm going to hit the nuts, but I'm not going to hit the nuts just all the time by seeing the flop. Some of the times I'll know what it is, but someone else has got something better.
Did you hear that, Broughton?
Is this an
I
ongoing...
said hold cards. Yes, it's an ongoing thing. And there's a big thing on the forum, actually. Lots of people are split
Oh,
halfway.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of people are saying the board would always be better. And
Okay.
ah.
Okay.
Mr. Browning agrees with me. Got another email. This is from Deke. He says, hi, what is the difference between being cold decked and a bad beat?
Ah. basically cold decked. Actually, a cold deck is referring to when it would be in a crooked game and someone set up the deck and they'd call it a cold deck because you'd be going to the mortuary with this hand and it would be set up and I would give me trip kings and I'm going to get trip aces. I'm going to get all the money, but it would be a setup. So it would be a cold deck. When people say I've been cold decked, it's when two hands sort of go together, which are like a train crash. It's as if it's been set up. It's not been set up because, of course, the game is completely straight, but it looks like it's been set up. How can that happen? I've got a full house and Michelle hit 4 of a kind on the river. This is just like I've been cold decked. How can I have trips against trips? I've been cold decked. That's cold decked. Bad beat is just saying, okay, I had this. And
when you've got ace 8 and hit the 8 and a pair of 2s.
Someone goes runner, hits a straight, and you go, oh, what a bad beat that was. Okay?
Yes, and bad beats is something you have to get used to because it will happen.
Don't worry about it because we've got selective memories. Oh, I've got to mention something. John Clark, who I'm sure you'll have seen on the programme some of the time, and also on our backgammon programme.
Yes, John Clark.
So John Clark, and he was on there with Kara in the backgammon programme. He's just had some great success. He was in Helsinki, in Denmark, in the Nordic Open, or Masters, one of the two, and he won the tournament.
Yay,
so, John,
I
haven't spoke to you for a while, mate. I think actually I'll give you a ring to give you some personal congratulations. Anyway, well done, and that's a super result, and we're all very, very proud of you.
Yeah, well done, and also well done to Kara because he's all over in Canada, but she won. She emailed me and she's won her first ever tournament.
Has she?
Yeah, she goes, it was only a $2, but I won it and it's her first ever one. I said, don't diss the amount of money. I said, because it's huge to win your first tournament.
Of course it is, that's right.
So well done, Kara.
From there you can march on.
Me and her are going to take the world on at poker.
The girls.
The girls.
Girl power.
We've got a quick email here from Ellie Clark who says, hello, I really need your advice, please. So there I was, happily trundling along in my relationship, then suddenly, bam, my devoted and very loving partner discovers poker. Now they spend hours in front of the internet playing, watching your channel and reading about poker. Have I lost them to poker for good, or can I win them back? Should I not bother, or should I join in the fun? I'm slightly worried how your husband is a them and a they. Wink, wink. Maybe she has 2 of them.
Well, I think you should join them.
Go girl. But join in. Come on. What you need to do is you need to get better at him. Don't tell him you're doing it, but secretly become a brilliant poker whiz and then just challenge him to a game one night. Take all his chips.
If you can't beat him, join him.
Definitely. Give it a go.
There's, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a story. There's a friend of mine, he's well up in the European rankings, Bambus Xanthos. He's played poker forever. And his wife, Sasha, got tired of him playing poker forever and said, well, if I can't beat him, I'll join him. She's joined him. She's been playing poker now for quite a while, and she's doing great. She's had loads of results, and so she's very glad she's joined him, and she's doing really well.
Oh,
so there's good advice for you, Ellie.
Yeah. Well, it's a great place to learn to watch the show as well. It really is worth, because we had a write-up the other day saying how much information you can actually take in from watching what we show and listening to the experts talk about it.
Listen, some of the other programmes are undoubtedly fun. We all like watching the WPT, all the razzmatazz and excitement, but I really
We're fun. James does impressions. Dr. Tom sang.
But I really feel this is a great poker programme to learn from, and we always hope to keep it that way. And
we do love to hear from you, so please do keep your emails coming in.
And your photos.
And your photos, Flirty Liz.
Where is it?
It's not here. She hasn't sent it.
Have you looked? Yeah.
Let me have another look. I'll refresh. Look, text poker and your question to 84222. James, it's not here. Flirty Liz.
Oh, the back room keeping it back there or something?
Maybe. There's the email, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Liz, get your picture in. Okay, after the break, we're going to be watching some more tournaments. Did we watch the final of the multi-table
No, we didn't,
tournament?
no.
So we'll probably have the final of the multi-table tournament coming up. So stick with us, and James and I will return shortly, won't we, James?
We definitely will.
And do remember to get in your questions and comments
Emails,
on anything.
come
what
on,
did you think of my play, the presenter, or not? And James and I will catch you very soon.
You know.
Good morning and welcome back to Poker Night Live.
That came as a shock there.
I don't know what James was talking about, so we'll move.
I think I gave a wave there. I didn't mean to.
Well, tonight it's been very good. We had a good first hour.
Whizzing, has it whizzed by?
The last hour, James.
It's flown by, isn't it?
Well, we're going to go straight to the tourney, aren't we?
Okay, let's go to the tourney.
We are.
Okay, here we are, multi-table tournament final.
Final of the multi-table tournament. Was that loud?
Well, a lot louder than before.
So here we are. It's all very, very exciting. We've got Buster Dimes, very clever. Poker for Taffy, Madangle, Graham P, Charwell, Irid, Flipsake, and Homer. Can you do Homer?
No, actually, no. Funny enough, I've read The Simpsons. Oh, you go on. Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah.
It's a bit more Marge-esque than Homer. Right, so this is a multi-table tournament. We've been watching it all night.
So the average stack now is 16,650.
How many people did we start with?
111. 111.
And only 8 left?
Yes, oh, beg your pardon. Of course, it's higher than that, the average stack. Beg your pardon. The average stack is 20,000, sorry. 20,800. And Homer pushes the all-in button. He's got ace-10. He's hit the 10. Looking good. But there's an up and down straight for flip's sake, but he doesn't get it. Homer, pair of 10, scoops the pot. Gives him 8,000. 9,000 with his 800. He just popped in the middle, of course. And Madangle, nicely placed with 50,000, even after that bet. Chip leader. And he played some good plays before. Madangle, I still haven't heard from you there. I was interested to hear about your King-Queen. Liked the way you played it.
So, what are our players? Have our players got to change their play now they're on the final table?
Well, every player has... Oh, let's just watch this one, Mish, because we've got a big hand here. We've got Graham with aces. Now, he's not well chipped up. We know he's below average, because the average chip's 20,000. So he doesn't want to win the blinds with this.
No.
So, oh, very nice.
Ah, we like that,
Very nice. He's put in a play where he wants to get action. So that's we'll give him good marks for that already. Because he hasn't got enough chips. He needs to fight. He doesn't want the blinds. He's given them every opportunity.
Well, he's up against the only person with less.
Yeah, but he didn't know what he was against. And look at this. There we go. He's pushed in the rest of his chips, and that's worked like a dream, hasn't it? And that is great play. There we go. Wow. Aces and queens, and he's now above average chips. So you're not going to get a big hand very often. You look at your situation. Situation was he had 14,000, and that already worked out that the average was 20,800. So you know you're below average.
Yeah.
The blinds are 1,000, 2,000. If you win the blinds, you go to 17,000. You're still below average chips. So it's nice, but it's not nice enough.
Yeah.
So therefore, he decided to play it, and he put in a small raise, thinking, well, that could at least tempt the big blind, even if everyone else passes. And sure enough, it did. He said, I know it's taking a risk, but I have to take some sort of risk. And what better time to take a risk than when I've got the top pair?
Pair of aces.
And that was great play,
It
wasn't
worked
it?
wonderful for him, and now look at him. He's
He's
third.
back in business. So do you understand how we analysed what we should do? So we found a reason why we should, how we should play that hand in that situation. And that's what they've all got to do. So basically, everyone has got different priorities. And their priorities are determined by how many chips they've got and where their position is on the table.
What do you think of Homer going all in with the sixes?
Yes, he's got 11,000. The blinds are... that's fine. That's fine. It looks like a strong play under the gun. He's got a pair. it's hard for people to have pairs. You know, it's 16 to 1 against for someone an individual to hit a pair. He's praying they haven't got a pair. He's praying they pass actually, and it'll give him another round to try and find an even better hand. Charwell there got the pair of 9s, and look at this. And Flipsake's made a move with nothing. Well,
But when he goes out,
he's gone out. He's made the bet with nothing. He got called by the 9s. I think that was not brilliant because he's looking at the guy who had chips. He could have called him. He's got no outs, no escapes. It's a cast iron bluff with 2 cards to come.
his whole tournament life. Maybe he should have waited for a made hand to push it all in.
Well, I just don't think that was quite right because also he was coming to the situation where he had a full round to go and find some more cards. I think a little bit of panic set in there. Irid, pair of 6s, he's made now. I don't like that because pair of 6s is not a monster. Why do you want to do a small raise there? It's when you got the aces you want them to come over the top. Well, oh lucky Irid, and well. That's just, I didn't like that play at all. Why on earth do you want to tempt someone to come over the top when you've only got 6s? That beggars belief with me.
And if he's going to call anyway.
Yeah, and I didn't like that. I mean, the pair of 6s is not a hand to slow play to try and trap with. It's not a big one. So
Homer 1-1, yay.
Homer there, 4-jack. Oh, flashback there. There it is. 4-jack for Homer, and he's popped it in there. And Charwell, kings on the flop. That gives a full house to Irid. Homer's dead.
Bye, Homer.
Bye, Homer.
Don't!
That was better.
No. It was not.
And Madangle, 2-9, he won't try that. But look at this, we've got 2 big aces here. We've got Graham, ace-jack. Blinds 1,000, 2,000, and we're left with 5 players. He's made it 3 times a big blind, 6,000. Charwell, what does he think? Does he think, what hands does he think Graham will do that with? And he's decided to come over the top for another 4,000. Well, obviously, if Graham calls this, he might as well commit. Because he has done.
They have.
And but
it's a horrible way
him,
to be under as well, isn't it?
And there we go. He didn't connect, and Charwell has stormed into second place, and we're down to 4 runners. Do you have any details of the prize money there, Mish?
Yes, I do.
You can check that out for us. It'll be good.
I can.
What did the guy who just left got? 5th place.
5th place got $88.80.
Okay. And so 4th, we're looking at
$105.
3rd.
$138.
2nd.
$222.
And the big winner.
$333.
Wow, it's all worked out very, so like 222 and 333. That's unusual, isn't it?
And look, even earlier on, 8th place got $44.40 and 7th place got $55.50.
I think someone's having a laugh.
All the small things that please us in the early hours.
King, Queen 2. Well, the king pleases Charwell. And Mr. Dangle there has actually taken him off it. My goodness, that was a powerful play there. Right, Madangle, 72,000. Tremendous shape. Charwell does a flat raise with ace-deuce, and he's going to hear from Irid there. Makes it 10,000, and I think Charwell can put this down. And he does. Well done, good pass. Charwell, no good. Irid, no good. Let's see what Buster Dimes. He's raised it to 5 and got rid of Madangle, and not frightened there against the big chip stack. Buster.
Well, I hope our lady Sarah's watching from earlier, because she was asking about four-handed games, wasn't she?
Yes.
So she's watching.
Yes, that's a good point, Mish. Irid makes it 4. Buster puts it down. We're seeing quite a bit of aggression here. Irid, ace 8.
Suited.
Suited. And I think he could crank this up to 6,000. Doing these flat raises. But it would seem to be enough. Well, they seem to have found their price for raises as just being a flat raise. There's often that actually happens in the later stages of these tournaments.
You give the flat raise the same respect as a 3 times
yes,
or even 4 times.
it's looking at the chips behind you. You're saying, listen, I'm raising and I'm likely to stay there. If you can get away with it, it's fine, because what it means is if you can put these minimum raises in, you can try this more often.
Yeah.
Because if you're able,
costing you less.
If you're a good enough player to get away from a hand, you can keep on going to the well and maybe take the blinds down and then be prepared to get away from a hand when it's no good. And if you are able to do this, then your level of hand you do it with doesn't have to be as high. Buster dimes, ace 3 8, and Madangle has got the top pair, and Buster dimes has tried to push. Oh, but he got his 2 pair, but there's another pair on the board, and unfortunately that's all his chips down the drain.
It's
so
a
I hope
drain
he's
pipe
not going
river. With number 10, the drain pipe. Ace King for Dangle. Ace King for Charwell.
Okay, and we're down to the final 3.
Oh, it's the Bannon.
7 8. Bannon raises.
Raise it up, that's
gets
right.
Gets the chips. And he went more than the flat
Oh, it's not
raiser.
Irid, is it? It's Earled.
No, I did ask you earlier, and you told me Irid.
It looked
right.
like I-R-I-D, but it's Earled.
Wicker's World. Oh, and here we have King Queen.
Or it could be known as the forklift truck, because it's big and it can be devastating. It could lift a lot of chips in the world of the unraised pot.
Now that is a weird saying, Michelle. I think you're all wacky backy or something. I'm having.
Oh look, ace for Madangle. Not going to get paid anything from Charwell here though, unless Charwell. Oh, he's checking it. Look.
Yeah, aces and 10s. That's good enough. And we've got a good leader there, Madangle. Total chips 166,500. So he's actually got, with that 4 in the middle, got over half the chips.
Ooh, flush draw to a king, top pair.
Yes, so Madangle's got the top pair, but Earled has got a flush draw and an ace, but he doesn't manage to hit anything.
2 pair now from Madangle.
And I don't know what he popped in 4,000 for. That was just a waste of chips.
With nothing?
No, just
ace
ridiculous.
High.
Just ridiculous. Just frittered in. And you have to look at that bet in relation to his stack. I didn't like that. I mean, these chips are valuable, you know. So
they are.
Yes, basically you've got to look at how valuable your chips are, and the less chips you've got, the more valuable the chips are. So you've got to look for the market value for your chips, not for your fish. It's not a fish market, it's the market value for the chips.
What's this about fish market, James? I'm lost.
Because you've got to look at the value of your chips.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the less chips you've got, the more valuable they are. In fish and chips, you not heard of that?
Well, Fish and for Chips was playing earlier.
He was playing earlier, wasn't he?
He was moaning because he couldn't. He apparently his
Hang
clicker
on.
doesn't work.
King Queen in the land of the unraised pot. The Queen's hit the flop. And there we go.
There he goes. He's taking it down.
Takes
Oh,
it down.
keeps paying people off, doesn't he?
Yes, now Earl is now really got to think with this because the blinds are 1,500, 3,000. So now he can't fritter chips away here because he hasn't got many. And that's no good. He might as well have pushed it all in there and asked the full question.
Well, he's got a 7.
Well, he's back.
Madangle may be tempted just to try and take him out of the game.
No, he doesn't.
Well done, he
but
doesn't.
Earl could have just pushed all his chips in there before. If he got called, then he could have doubled up or got the chips. And he needs to... okay, and now, you see, again, he's doing a funny size bet because he doesn't really have enough chips. Now he's pushed it in again, but he's on the wrong side of this. But he's got the queen!
He gets the queen!
Wow, okay, back in the game. That was a very critical river card for him there.
River rat.
Madangle. He has chips. He can do different size betting.
Well, now Earl has.
And there we go. He takes down 4,500 for a bet of 6,000.
Yeah.
So that was a well-judged bet by Madangle. Just generally squeezing...
And will he get more respect for his chip bets? Because
of course,
he's a
because
chip
they're
leader?
frightened of what his next bet's going to be. Because he's got them covered as well. They realise when you fight with Madangle, if it goes wrong, you're dead.
Oh, you needed a word that rhymed there. If you have a fight with Madangle... No, nothing.
Nothing come?
Well, is it top pair?
8,
Always
9,
nice.
10 jack. Up and down straight.
So what would you
Top
do here with the
pair
up and
from
down?
Madangle.
What would you do with the up and down here?
Yeah, I don't want to be on a
Fold?
draw hand.
No.
Either he's bet into me there. If he hadn't bet, I could have pushed in with this a semi-bluff.
I have seen players in big tournaments call for a draw. Go all in a tournament with a draw.
Yes, as a semi-bluff, they'll probably push in with it. You know, the kings didn't get any too much there. Now, Charwell here has to find a way to get some chips. Well, this is clear cut. Again, funny enough, I probably wouldn't have even mucked around because is he going to get away from the hand even to the call? I'd have just asked the question fully and pushed with it. 6-2-4. Madangle needs a middle pin for a straight. He's now bet 3,000. It's slowed Charwell down, but Charwell hit the ace. And Madangle's bet, and he's flat raised. And he's back in the game. Madangle, still big leader, way over half the chips. So even if Charwell and Earl have a head-on collision, Madangle is going to have more chips than the eventual winner of the head-on collision. And he's just gone a little bit further on. So basically the chip leader here should just bit by bit slowly be strangling the opposition, slowly squeezing, taking little chips off them, taking little chips, so they just get weaker and weaker. And the longer that there's two of them there, this is actually, in a way, in the favour of the big stack, because he knows that neither of them want to go out next, so he can actually strangle them and starve them of oxygen till they wither and die.
That's very beautifully put, James. Thanks very much.
8-7 king. Oops, it's a flush draw for
This is
Charwell.
unfortunate for Madangle,
and he's
actually.
got a pair, but Madangle, he's got a pair of sevens. And a flush draw, but he was dominated in the flush draw and he was dominated by the pair.
So Charwell creeping up slowly.
And there's Madangle trying to strangle him again, look.
Yeah.
And again, he's
does
taken 4,500 from his two competitors. So he's squeezing them out the game. Can you see what's happening?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the beauty of being the chip leader.
Yeah.
Slowly bully away.
Well, and as I said, the longer they're both of them there together, that is in his favour because he can just pressurise them out of the game. There you go. More money out the game now. He has to pass. Thank you very much. He's now broken the 100 barrier.
Nice.
And he's still got two competitors.
So he's doing very well here, isn't he? He's not
because
sitting back.
See, what I can explain the maths to this. If, in fact, Charwell and Earl had a head-on collision now, then it would be Madangle with 98,000 and they would have 68,000. It would be a very close contest.
Yeah.
The longer this goes on with three people, if he can whittle their chips away, Then when you add up their total, it's increasing his chances of winning the heads on.
Yeah.
Heads up, rather. By strangling them down and whittling
And
their
so many
chips
people
away.
just want to sit back and not play because they're chip leader, so he's actually doing very well, isn't he?
He is. He's picking the situations, yeah.
Brilliantly. Now nobody wants to go ahead against him.
Now, you see, they're now both neck and neck, so he knows that they're frightened. Only if they get a big hand are they going to play. But now he's going to do it again. There we go. Oh, easy. He'll probably get cold here. Oh, he did. Now, does he know where he is? He does. Oh, but Charwell. Oh, my goodness. Ping, ping. Charwell has actually hurt him there. And do you know what? What did Madangle do wrong there? He
should have raised more.
Yeah.
But then I think he would have been called anyway.
I'm not certain he would.
No.
What, you think you're going to... If you raise more, I'm not certain. I mean, I think he should have done anyway, because he lost the chips anyway. So I think he could have just asked another question there, because he's really got them in this strangled situation, as I was referring to.
Well, Charwell...
He's unlucky anyway. He had the best hand. He's unlucky, but Charwell found the Houdinis, the 10-10.
The binaries.
The binaries.
And Dr. Tom even worked out what it was in binary.
Oh, did he?
And guess what it is?
What?
10.
Ah, right.
How clever.
Yeah. I like the two ladies are better. The mammaries. Oh.
Yeah, I thought you'd come up with something like that. James.
Ace King for Earl. Makes it 6. And I don't mind this because he needs to play. He's unlucky he's against a pair, so he's a slight underdog. He needs to hit now. And he's done it. He's done it. Oh, no.
Look at that.
Wow.
The twos did that to me earlier
flop.
as well, Earl.
TV flop, and it's hit the 2, and there's Earl. I like the way he played it. He wanted to try and get some chips here. He thought, I've got to try and get back in this game. He's actually get lucky. He's unlucky to run into a pair. He got lucky and hit his ace, and then on the river, all his hopes were dashed.
I know how you feel, Earl, because that happened to me earlier.
You have a sympathetic viewer here. It's Mish.
Yep.
And look at this.
He does walk away
Charwell is
with a-
massive chip leader now. How things have changed.
He went out with $138.
And here we go, 1,500 against 3,000
Well,
in the
how
blinds.
did that happen?
Madangle. We missed one there, I'm
Were
afraid.
we
10
busy? Oh, he won.
Oh, there we go.
Ace Queen.
Ace Queen against Ace 6. That's how he did it. Oops. And Madangle, Ace 3. It beats King 4. High card rules there. And Charwell raises to 6. Madangle 4-9. And he puts it down. Okay, but he needs to push next time because he has to double up.
Heads up.
Okay. Oh, he didn't do it. I think he should have pushed regardless. There would have been some fold equity, and he missed it. And you see he's got another bad hand. And as his stack goes down, his fold equity...
So does his hopes.
Well, yes, that's exactly right. As his stack goes down, his fold equity disappears. Because eventually the person's going to call him with anything.
Yeah.
So when you lose your fold equity, you're losing a percentage chance of winning a hand. So that's what you've got to remember. Madangle, that's... well, he could have pushed again, but he's done probably the next best thing. Presuming to put the rest in. Madangle. And just a flat call from Charwell there. 2-10-7, hasn't connected, but Madangle hasn't connected either. And look at that!
Ooh! All in, it worked.
He Madangled some chips in the middle there.
He had a bit of a Red Berry Joy Town going on.
What exactly is that, Michelle?
It's just a phrase that you can use when you make a bit of a move, a bit of a joyous, weird berry red town move.
Is it? Is that peculiar to Essex?
Just my little village, Rain.
All right, it's your village. What's the name of the village? What's the village called?
Rain.
Rain. So Rain is known as a Red Berry Joy Town.
No, Casper's known as Red Berry.
Okay.
And if you think of making a move as a bit of a joy town,
Yeah.
a bit as in a joy ride, but not because it's a town. Really just going to move on from this now.
Pair 10s for Madangle. This is a joyous hand, that's for sure. And he's in great shape here. Oh, and he's slow playing it. He wants to try and get some chips. He needs to get back in the game, and he doesn't get it. Charwell says, nope, I'm not fattening you up. That is a smelly bet. I think you've got a hand. I'm not paying. And he's pushed it in with the king. Big cards rule. Well, Madangle, he calls,
he
and
calls,
I don't
and look at
blame him.
that.
And
Three
look at that.
eights.
8-8-8.
Wow, now that's a flop and a half for him.
It is a flop and a half.
And the jack for the full house.
Jack. So it's 3 8s, 2 jacks, full house for Madangle.
Wow,
and
he's
back in
climbing
business.
back again, isn't he, James?
There it is. 3 8s, 2 jacks, full house for Madangle. 6-8. He decides no.
Oh, a load of rubbish there. Ooh,
Charwell.
raised with 10-8. Oh, he flops a flush.
Wowee.
Oh,
And
nine of hearts as well.
he's got a possible straight flush here. And
Oh, and it comes, look at
he's
that.
got it. He's got a straight flush.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of hearts.
No,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
no,
10.
No, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10
No,
of
it's not
hearts.
spectacular. The 6 flush is better, James.
We mustn't confuse people. 5 card hands, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A straight flush. You don't see many of those, I can promise you.
Wow.
Fantastic.
You do not see many of
I
those.
did forecast it was a straight flush draw, and ping, there it was. It was
There
a
it
commentator's curse. But it wasn't a curse, it was a joy.
It was a Joy Town.
It's a joy town, yeah.
A red berry one. Look at that flop.
That is a red berry joy town, isn't it? All hearts.
All of the hearts. Wow. See, it all happens here on Poker Night Live.
Straight flushes. Can you believe
have
it?
never had
And
one.
look at this. There's another one.
3,
He
4,
needs a 6 of
5.
spades.
Oh, it would be amazing if you got another one.
6 of spades for a straight flush.
Oh, we'll never know.
Well, come on, rabbit hunt. Would you've got it? Oh, we're not going to show us.
Rabbit hunt.
Rabbit hunt is in a live game where people say, can we look to see what the next card would have
Oh,
been?
really?
And it's called rabbit hunting.
And they can do it, can they?
Well, no, a lot of places you're not allowed to. But also there's a poker tournament coming where they're going to have a rabbit cam, which is a camera which will rabbit hunt for you to show you what the
Oh,
card would have
really?
been.
Oh,
Yes.
that'd be brilliant.
Well, it won't help your game. It's just for nosy people, Michelle. Eight, 9. Madangle makes it 20,000. He's got right back in this game.
Now the 9s take it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Madangle there, he's had quite an amazing tournament. He's been chip leader.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say something else when you said Mr. Mandangle.
He's been chip leader. He's had more than half the chips. He went down to about 20,000.
He did.
And there
He's
he
right
is.
back up again.
He's
Good
back
on
up.
him though, really.
No, fantastic. He's back up to way over half the chips again.
It's been a wild ride.
There we go. Charwell, top pair of queens.
King 9 for Charwell. Ace Queen to a rag ace. We might see some action here.
Yeah. And Charwell, no, he didn't try anything, but anyone got a club? No, no one's got a club. Well, and position 1. Oh, no. He didn't. He's now preempted it. He's got a straight draw there. He's a jack.
Ace
and
2,
there
3,
we are,
4
position. But he's
well.
called it. My goodness, they're getting desperate
Big
here.
pot now, isn't it?
And considering
Neither of
nobody
them have
has
anything.
anything. Of course, Madangle is winning by virtue of having the bigger cards, ace with a queen. And Charwell, it's bet.
Oh, it takes it.
My goodness. And Charwell took it down.
Well done. See,
And
that's
did
a
you
question.
hear what I said in the middle of that hand?
No.
Position will win this.
Yeah.
And
See,
position,
you knew.
position did win it. Position did win it. The power of position. And there's Madangle back down to 88,000 again. No one's got a 5. But Charwell's got a 6, which gives him a full house. 3 5s and 2 sexy 6s. And Madangle is representing that he has got, I don't know what. I don't think Charwell's going to believe this. He does. I can't understand that because I don't think it's likely that Madangle had anything there. The last card helped Charwell. I can't understand his pass. I don't think Madangle looked like he had the 5. I think if he'd had the queen, he'd have heard about it. I just don't understand his pass. That was strange. Very strange. Well, Madangle there got away with that, and I didn't think it was the best place to try a bluff there. It didn't feel realistic, but hats off to you, Madangle. It worked. So there's Madangle, and he's got a flush draw there, but we've got 2 pairs for Charwell, and wow, and oh, I think Madangle there has tried one move too many there. He's blown all the fuses in the fuse box with that play. He's certainly had a really wild ride, Madangle, tonight. I saw Froggy play the other night, and Froggy had a really wild ride.
Mr. Toad?
No, I'm going to call Mr. Dangle Mr. Toad.
Why?
It's a wild ride for Mr. Toad tonight. Never mind Froggy, I can tell you. Up and down all night. Incredible. 6 Jack 8.
And should we just see that?
Look at this. What a ride he's having. Now and he's got this one. This is incredible. Back and forward. Can Madangle get back in it again?
Can we see that amazing Redberry Joytown flop we had
Oh
earlier?
yeah, all the
again?
Hearts.
Look, there
There
it
it
is.
is.
Look, there's the 5, 6, 7, 8,
This
9,
is
10
Michelle's
hearts.
famous Redberry Joytown flop. A phrase
There it
which comes
is.
from rain in Essex. A lot of inbreeding there.
Oi! For that Browning.
Only joking.
It's actually the classy end of the Essex spectrum.
Oh, and what happens there? Unlucky 7s for Madangle. I tell you what a tournament he's had. He was chip leader, but there we go. Charwell, ace-7, Madangle, 6-5. The flop wasn't good for him, though, but he hit a 6 on the turn. The 5, of course, in the river made no difference because he already had 2 pairs, 7s and 6s, but Charwell had trip 7s anyway.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, that was a very, very exciting final table. Well done to Charwell and Madangle. Madangle, I thought you played great, but I think all of a sudden you just went to the well a few too many times with the moves. You just still have to try and keep...
We do have an email from...
Keep a bit of respect going there. But altogether, I thought you played great in the tournament. Possibly with that ace-queen, I think when you had them really strangled, I'd have kept them strangled a bit more. But altogether, great play. Very enjoyable to watch.
We do have an email from Mr. Toad, as you renamed him.
Superb. Let's hear.
He says, I have been playing in your Poker Night Live tournaments for a while, but I got a place for the first time tonight. And I got onto TV, which was nice. Well, very well done for second place, Madangle.
Yeah, well done, Madangle.
I felt really chuffed to even get to the last table, but ended up losing most of my chips on a flush draw. I was also watching when you said I did the right thing when I threw down Jack Queen or Queen King, can't remember which. Do you have any suggestions on how to deal with heads up? This was my first experience of it at this level, and it is very daunting. Any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, I think hopefully I can. And as I said, I thought you played very well, but all of a sudden it really felt, we're having a bit of a joke there, but all of a sudden it felt that you over-tried. And if you over-try, it becomes transparent to your opponent. and they can tell that you're making moves. So basically, when you try to push people off hands, you've still got to go back to sort of being able to pass a hand, show that you can still, I'm playing selectively still, and then you can get away with moves. You can then push people off hands. But all of a sudden, it felt like you just got into panic, and your play changed. And you still had time to be in control. You can still have time to pass an odd hand, then make a pre-flop raise, mix it up a bit. But you were pushing with nothing quite a few times. In the end, I know you pushed with a small draw. But again, your chips had gone down there. And as I said, as your chips diminish, then your fold equity, that is a chance that your opponent passes, diminishes as well. And as your fold equity diminishes, when you make a move with a hand where you're 2-1 against, you're still going to be underdog even when we add in the little bit of fold equity in there, in the whole package of the bet, i.e. the percentage time that your opponent passes plus the percentage time that you win the hand. So therefore, don't overdo it. There's still time in that tournament to try and create an image and then find the right moment. So don't try and oversteal. So therefore, some stealing is necessary, but don't overdo it in heads up. Still don't overdo it.
Okay, we have an email from Illy, who's a literatum. He says, "Hi, Shell and James. Great show. Nice to have two experts on in an amateur night."
Oh, Mish, that's a nice praise for you, isn't it?
Ah, see? See?
See?
Says we've got two questions. One, 4 players left in the sit and go tourney. I'm the short stack. Player 1 goes all in and is called quickly by the chip leader. I think player 1, excuse me, I think player 1 is winning. I'm on a flush draw. Do I call? The chip stacks are approximately 3,500, 7,500, 4,500 and 2,500, with player 1 having 3,500.
Hang on, so that's just a bit quick. So player 1...
Player 1 is winning. He thinks player 1 is winning, who has 3,500 chips.
Right, 3,500. The chip leader's got 7,500. How much has he got?
About 2,500, because he's short stacked.
Okay, 2,500,
yeah.
okay.
They go, he's got a flush draw. Player 1 goes all in.
Okay. Yes, you can't be sure that he's winning. I mean, you've got. I think there you just this time you want to get into the last 3 here basically, and then start really cranking it up. I think I would have just actually passed on that and just let the chip leader have a shot at knocking player 1 out, even though you thought that he was winning. You can't know for sure he was winning. It's only your estimate of it. So it's a close decision because you can triple up here. I'd actually have to have a look at this quite closely, but the principle of it there is I think there is a chance there the chip leader will knock the guy out. That will put you into the money, and now you can just unleash because the difference between third and second is small, and now you can just crack on and try and win the tournament. But to win, so basically in sit and goes, I think your initial aim should be to get to the last 3. Then after that, from the last 3, you should then aim to get first. And I think with that principle, that is a winning principle. So I probably would have just sat by. And I think Cass would as well. He tends to want to do that as well. I'd have actually given the chip leader a chance to take you into the last 3 without any risk.
He also says, if your life depends on the result of a sit and go tourney and you had to choose another P&L presenter to play for you, who would it be and why? Obviously James. Because he's wonderful at poker.
Oh.
And who would you pick, James?
Another that's a good question, isn't it?
Actually, I'm quite interested to hear your answer.
Yes. Actually, in the sit and go tournament, well, at the moment, I suppose I better just follow the form. I suppose I better follow the form horse and have Casper play it. I think. Yeah. Because he's got a sparkling record at the moment in the sit and goes, and maybe I should follow him for it.
That's a good question, though, and I'm going to carry on asking everyone I work with that question, see what they say. He says he's currently researching size 10 horse outfits. Now, I wore a black and white striped top the other day, and everyone's taken the mick out of me, and it's a really fashionable top, and they said I look like a zebra, and if you go on the forum, they've looked up a whole site that does animal costumes for me to wear. It's not funny, is it?
No, not funny.
Illy? There's nothing wrong with my top. We have an email from Nilma
Michelle.
Boy.
But this one. This is class.
We
This is class.
have an email. We have an email from Nilma Boy.
Try again.
We have an email from Nilma Boy.
From
He
who?
says, Nilma Boy. That's right. He says,
Okay.
hi both. First time emailer. Great show. Couple of questions, please. First, is there anything you can do when the cards go cold in the middle of a tourney? I can build a good stack by being patient, but there always comes a time I hit nothing. And can James suggest the kind of hole cards I can try to play? Normally, when the monsters come, I'm too short stacked to survive.
Okay. Basically, when your cards go dead, it's very, very frustrating. And what happens there is, if your cards do remain dead, basically what have you got left? All you've got to do is to be able to play situations. So by situations, you should be monitoring your players at the table. You should be looking at their style of play. See if they're very tight players, very solid players. Have a look to see which players defend their blinds. Do certain players not defend their blinds, so they just pass unless they've got a big hand? So by this, you can now find a situation. So even if you haven't found a card, you can say, right, I'm latish position. I know the big blind here only calls if they've got a good hand. This is the time, and now you push. And make a bet, or make what looks like a powerful bet. Just really ask the question because you don't want them to call it because you haven't really got a hand. If you think the position is right, you can just make the move. And you're talking now when you're lower stacked here, so basically ask a bigger question. So basically be prepared even now just to push your stack in and say, do you want to pay that much money? And they can't outplay you anymore. And if it all goes wrong, you could get lucky. If you get lucky, then you've doubled up. Then you've given yourself more time to hopefully give the cards a chance to warm up.
He also says, before I go, Michelle, you played just about the same as I would have. Just keep listening to the master. I like the way you boot your PC. Well, it's not going to be something I do all the time, I don't think.
He said, love the show, helped him loads.
Yes, and love the show and helped him very loads. Right, I have an email here from Hoik Balls, who was playing earlier.
Hi, Hoik.
Hi, Hoik. He says, hi, Michelle and James. Hoik Balls here again. I had to write another quick email to defend Michelle. As a player with about the same amount of poker experience as Michelle, I have a quick comment to make on her imaginary scenario regarding seeing other players' hole cards or knowing what the flop would be, well, the board would be. I have to totally agree with Michelle and yourself, James, about seeing the hole cards. I'd like to explain why. Good. And this is just an argument that's been going on continually. We had a lot of emails, a lot of people were split. If you could see either all of the board cards or everybody's hole cards while you were playing, which one would it be? And James and I both said hole cards. He said, if you read Sklansky's Theory of Poker, you learn that the fundamental theorem of poker is that every time you play a hand, if you play it differently from the way you would have played it, if you could see all of your opponent's cards, they gain. And every time you play your hand the same way you would have played it if you could see all the cards, they lose. This allows you to create the correct pot odds, as James was describing earlier, and of course why getting a read on an opponent is so valuable. If you stay in a pot, you get to see the community cards anyway, so clearly the advantage is to be able to see everybody else's hole cards. Mr. Broughton, all the forum members giving you strife, and anyone else who disagrees is going against the teachings of Sklansky, considered by everyone to be the best author on poker theory. So Michelle, well done for getting it right, and tell anyone who gives you hassle to stick it in their pipe and smoke it. But not in a Scottish pub, because smoking is now banned.
Ah.
Can't see myself smoking a pipe anyway.
No, I can't imagine with that.
But so it is an interesting question, and there is a lot of people that kind of go either way.
Yeah. In Sweden,
Yeah.
they've got special smoking corners in the casino. You've got like a plastic little corner.
Really?
And you open the door and people go in there to smoke the cigarettes. They've got two big air filters there.
Really?
And then you can look out and you look in at them smoking. Yeah.
Oh, that's odd.
Well, I just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you very much. So, what did you think of the play you've seen tonight? Anything that particularly sticks out in your mind, or?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I thought we saw some great play in the tournament, in that multi-table tournament. I enjoyed the multi-table tournament tonight. I thought it was fun, and there was a lot of monster hands.
There was.
We saw the straight flush. We saw four of a kind about 3 times. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Oh, I have a quick question for you, actually. It's one that I did point out with Nick the other day as well. It was to do with my dad, and he called my dad a big girl. live on air.
That's dangerous to call the governor a big girl, I think. But there you go.
So I just thought I'd run it by you as well. He had, because it's weird, because a similar thing happened to me the other day.
Okay.
He had 25,000 chips, and it was in a multi-table tournament.
Yep.
There was 2 tables left.
Right.
Now, on one table, the chips are between about 8,000 and about 18,000.
Yes.
And on the other table, the chips are 25,000 all the way up to about 110,000.
Right.
On the table my dad was at, obviously he was at the big stack table, and he was the smallest stack by about 40,000 chips.
And he'd have been the biggest stack on the other table.
So it put him at a huge disadvantage.
Yep.
So is that just completely unfortunate and random?
Yep.
So there's nothing you can do about it?
No.
So he is a big girl?
No, he's not a big girl. He's just he's
for complaining about it.
He's actually pointed out something there. He's unlucky that he's actually got a stack which is would have been the chip leader on the other table, and he's the smallest stack. It's very weird, this, but I mean...
How much does it change your play, your stack size?
Yes, it does, because basically when you're playing the tournament, you're always looking to see what the strength of your opposition is. So therefore, you know, you've got to say, has my opponent got me covered in chips? Have they got so many chips that I can't push them off a hand? If they're in that situation, it strangles you, because if, as our other viewer pointed out there, you have a situation where you've gone cold, your cards have gone dead, but you've got too many chips to push them off a hand, you're in a horrible, horrible situation. And you're just probably going to get just whittled away or have to get very lucky. So it does make a big difference. Whereas if he'd been on the other table, then everyone would have to say, well, he's got me covered in chips. So maybe I don't want to fight him, I'll fight someone else instead. So it does make a difference.
Big difference. But it is just luck of the draw.
And it is luck of the draw, and that's something that's quite an amazing split. I haven't seen that too often. But one thing I will say is, when we are playing, when you're deciding to make a play, shall I make a move, shall I do this, scan the table and check out what the chip stacks are. And of the people who are likely to play, what size chip stack have they got? And that's sometimes that I often see players miss or don't bother to do, and they go, oh, I didn't realise you have so few chips. That is a terrible thing. You must, that's one of the things on your checklist. And in fact, on Michelle's computer at home, she should put that on her checklist down the side there, must always check the size of the player's stacks.
And we're talking about that. You do say it's very important to note it, to not go up against the big stack that can take you out. but what if you hit something like tens or jacks or a big hand? Is it
okay? Well, that's okay, because now they'll pay.
Double up.
They can pay you off. Yes, so that it takes on a different scenario now. But you are risking your tournament life. But yes, if you've got a big hand, you want to have someone who can pay you. So you don't want to have your trips and come up against the guy who's broke and can't pay you off. You do want someone who can pay you then. And in fact, in poker, in No Limit Hold'em, if we're playing, say, a cash game, and you want to play a strange hand, if you want to play like suited connectors, the sort of hand which can break someone, you, for a start, have to have a good stack of chips, and you want to be against people who've got a lot of chips. You say, this hand is not likely to win very often, but I'll play it, because when I do connect, I want to get paid.
Yeah.
So there's no point playing a random hand if you've only got a short stack, because when you win, you won't get rewarded.
No.
So your risk-reward ratio is out the window. You're taking big risk because it's a hand which won't win very often. No reward, because you only had a short stack. They can't pay you anything. So in that situation, again, we should look at our chip stacks. You should have a big stack, and you should be playing against people who've got big stacks. Say, now I'll play a funny hand, because now I can get a jackpot. And then it makes the play logical and sensible.
Well, there's so much still to learn for everybody, but listening to James, who's been wonderful tonight, thank you so much for all of your comments.
Love the show with you, as always.
Yeah, it's always lovely.
It has whizzed by, though, hasn't it?
It does, it always does with
fast.
you. But please do join us again tomorrow at 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. It's a pro night tomorrow night. So.
I'm on.
Oh, are you on again tomorrow? Well, we can have more branding tomorrow night. But it's the best place with Nick. Oh, so it'll be a funny one as well. I'm off to Brussels for the beer festival.
Ooh, don't get drunk.
Copious amounts of beer. But that is the end of the show, so thanks again for watching. We will see you soon. But from James and I, it's good night and goodbye.